Appreciate you guys listening to the show and subscribing to the podcast, or to our YouTube page, I should say, if you're watching the video. We appreciate that. You guys can always hit us up on the Jay's Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. And so, yeah, YouTube, you can watch the show as well. The video stream is up. Twitter, Twitch, X, wherever you want to check out the show, you can watch on video. And in the 1 o'clock hour today, I should be joined by Nathan Brennan over at KCTV5. We've had him in studio before. He is a morning anchor for Channel 5 here in town. He did some radio up in Nebraska, and he'll be a perfect guy to have in for the 1 o'clock hour to talk some college football as well, which we're going to get to in about 10 minutes or so. The new college football playoff rankings came out last night. Plenty of controversy, which is exactly what they want with the rankings heading into conference championship weekend. And so Drew and I will discuss that in just a bit. But I do want to start with comments that are obviously going to carry more weight because of who they came from. And they're comments about what is happening for the Chiefs here in 2024 and this 11-1 start and how they're going about doing it. You've heard me for multiple weeks now discuss, hey, nobody blows out anybody, and 80% of NFL games are one score or less, and are the Chiefs really all that different than any other team in terms of that? As much as we all want the blowouts and everything, and hey, this is a team that has shown us time and time again they can get right come playoff time. Well, you may say, hey, what the hell are you talking about? What do you know? What about Tom Brady, a guy that's won a few rings in his career, a guy that's been part of championship teams, a guy that has had some years in the NFL where his team wasn't going out there and dominating, some years where everybody wrote their team off? Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? This was Tom Brady with Colin Cowherd yesterday.
Kansas City's 11-1, and they're winning by paper-thin margins. So of all your teams, the team that blew people out was the Randy Moss teams. There's no ring. Your 0-3-0-4 team, you were winning close games. And so this Chiefs team is the closest to your team. I want you to take me back. People keep saying, well, the Chiefs are lucky, and I'm like, timeout. That block field goal, that was coaching. Third down efficiency, that is coaching. I don't want to hear luck. That's even Rubik's Cubes and roulette, there's some strategy to it, right? Did you feel that totally. 0-3-0-4 team, did you feel like, you know what, close game, we're winning it. We're just better than everybody at it.
Definitely. I think that, look, you're going to have a close games, you're going to have blowouts. To win the close games is always the mark of a really good team. To win when you're not playing your best football is the mark of a very good team. I just think the Chiefs are so dangerous because if it's a one-score game in the fourth quarter and Patrick has the ball, he's incredible. He comes, not that he comes alive because he comes alive all day long, but he's so dangerous because then he has 4 downs, late in the game where you got to stop him for 4 downs, not 3.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous aspect for any defense. You have to kind of pull away from, and that they're it's a hard team to pull away from because they do such a good job defensively. So I think when they transition from really this great offensive team, and I would say when Patrick first started, they weren't as good on defense. Now they have a tremendous defense. They got Spags is a phenomenal coach. He's got him playing well defensively. Patrick is going to manage the game so well. He's going to throw to the open guy when it's there. He's got Travis out there that is going to make the right decisions in the big moments like we've seen time and time again. So they have a group of players. That organization does so many things the right way. They're going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. I don't care who they play, where they play. It's a lot like the teams that I played for at the Patriots. If you were going to beat us, man, you had to beat us. We weren't going to beat ourselves.
So that was Tom Brady on the herd yesterday. I mean, there it is firsthand from a guy that won more rings than anybody else in NFL history, a guy that was part of plenty of teams. How many seasons did we watch the Patriots? It'd be around this time. And from the outside, we would all be like, oh, they just don't look right. They're finally done. Everybody wrote off. Remember, there was the 10-year gap between titles or whatever it was. Everybody's like, okay, they're done. They're never winning again. And then, of course, Tom Brady won a couple more rings in the back portion of his career. Some of the things he said there is exactly what we've been saying. Obviously, it's coming from Tom Brady. So even if you're like, hey, what the hell are you talking about? It's Tom Brady. That should carry some more weight on top of it. But what he said, I mean, is not all that different than what we've been trying to say, honestly, which is like, come playoff time, it's just a different team, and Patrick Mahomes, when he has to make plays, is going to find a way to make plays. And I think how he phrased it, which is like, you're going to have to beat us. We're not going to beat ourselves. That's the exact verbiage I think that you should use to describe what has happened the last couple weeks in the Chiefs game, especially in the Raiders game. Right? The Chiefs didn't play well against the Raiders. The Raiders outplayed them until They didn't, which was the final snap of what basically was the final snap of the game. They made the mistake. They weren't able to go and beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs may not play great football, but they're usually not going to beat themselves and hand you the victory. That didn't happen with the Patriots either, and that's essentially what Tom Brady is discussing there. So Tom Brady's got, he's on the Chiefs' side here a little bit. He's like, no, Bill Belichick has also said similar comments recently. Like, no, everybody knows. And deep down, if you were to go and ask every single potential playoff team, and we pretty much know most of the AFC field, the only question will be if the Colts can make it interesting when they play the Broncos next week. If they were to win, it would be a half game or a full game back of the Broncos. But if you were to go and ask Mike Tomlin or Sean McDermott or DeMeco Ryans or John, Harbaugh, both Harbaughs, whoever you think are going to be in the playoff field, deep down, if you got an honest answer about who do you want to see or not want to see, there's no way any of them want to see Kansas City. Like, for all the time, like, they're vulnerable. They're not the same team. They're going to be out. And we played the Rex Ryan clip a day or two ago on the show. You're talking about, I've seen teams like this. They're one and done. That, by the way, talk about who I trust more. Do I trust Rex Ryan watching this football team saying, I've seen teams like this. They're one and done. Or do I trust Tom freaking Brady saying, we had teams just like this? No, they're going to be
pretty
a tough
obvious,
Yeah.
I would say.
Right?
No, I think, too, and somebody from the text line said, did Brady just call Mahomes a game manager? I don't think
he said he manages the game extremely well.
And if you look at how things have gone the past 2 seasons, he's done a really good job of that. Like, because everybody wonders what's wrong with Mahomes. He's managing the game very well, where he's like, yeah, I'd love to go score more points. Just not how things are going. We're going on 8-minute drives. We're going on 7-minute drives. The run game is effective. It's different than what we saw 5 years ago, which is, to Tom Brady's point, Tom had moments where he was electric and he was great, and then there was other moments where you're like, yeah, Tom's not looking so great, but he's having good seasons.
But also, when there was a minute and a half on the clock, nobody wanted to give the ball back to Tom Brady.
Correct.
And that same thing applies, of course, even in a year where we think they're not playing great, and they're still 11-1. There's no chance, and this is why anytime a coach decides to not go for 2 late in the game, Todd Bowles, stuff like that doesn't make any sense. You cannot give him another opportunity, even if you think he played poorly for the first 3.5 quarters.
Yeah, for whatever.
When it matters, the great ones step up, and that's still why you add that to the list of reasons why you have faith.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, you don't want the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands last. That's why, like we've said, if you can end it on your terms, why would you put it in the hands of a coin toss? Why would you put it in the hands of your defense when you can go and end the game? And I mean, case in point as well. I mean, they had moments to do it. The Raiders had the ball and could have won it late. The Broncos had the ball, could have won it late. They didn't, obviously. But your main point of the Buccaneers example, but even the Bills have to go, and you're not kicking a field goal.
No, that's why a big reason why the Bills won that game is
you're going for it.
Sean McDermott has lost time and time again to the Chiefs, so he's one of the few coaches that gets it now. Normally we were critical of how Sean McDermott has handled things. He's been burned enough, so he gets it. That's why you play them in the playoffs again. Like, Sean McDermott will not be conservative. He'll be aggressive because he knows the consequences if you're not. Some of the younger coaches in the league, some of the teams that haven't been burned by the Chiefs yet, which is very few teams at this point, they still aren't willing to do that. Like, whoever you think the Chiefs are going to play in the first playoff game, I think if the Chiefs somehow were playing a divisional round game against Pittsburgh, well, Mike Tomlin's one of the better coaches in the league. He's not going to make bad decisions coaching-wise for the most part. Doesn't mean that he's perfect, because I would argue a couple Thursday nights ago I thought he was terrible. But typically, Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the game. A younger coach that's not as experienced, that hasn't been burned by the Chiefs, I would wonder if they're smart enough to recognize that. Todd Bowles is the one I'll just keep using that example from the Bucs game.
Because it was bad.
It was, but when you play Sean McDermott in the playoffs, or if they play Mike Tomlin, Harbaugh even to a certain extent as well, those coaches will get it. But that was just, I thought, really interesting from Tom Brady, because even if you're out there and you're saying, well, I still don't believe it. I still don't believe it. Well, do you believe it when it's coming from Tom Brady, that this is a scenario that great team had been part of as well, where they just didn't look great at times in the regular season, and ultimately it led to Super Bowls? I mean, I think even Colin Cowherd brought up, like, the year where they were, lighting up offensively was not the years where they were always winning Super Bowls.
I wonder if our friend from the Sports Hub who had that tweet about the Chiefs being
what's her name, Middleton or something?
I wonder if she appreciated Tom Brady giving props to the Chiefs at all, or if people in Boston are freaking out.
She said that the Brady was and the Patriots were more likable than the Chiefs, and were very likable back then, which was unbelievable revisionist history. Anyway, we'll talk about this with Ross Tucker coming up in 20 minutes. I want to get his perspective on what he's seeing from the Chiefs, and does he think it is also correctable come playoff time. But something that I know you and I are both pretty passionate about, I would say in the last, 16 to 20 hours or so, what I have found the most interesting in sports is actually the college football playoff rankings, which, of course, came out after our show yesterday, and the discussion around that. Unfortunately, none of the local schools are involved in said discussion, but I still think we can all relate to it a little bit, and it's all something that we've been keeping an eye on and will when it comes to national championship picture and the expanded college football playoff. So for those that don't know, the playoff rankings were announced last night. Not the final ones. That'll be on Sunday after the conference championship games, but essentially this is almost wrapped up, because that was something that was confirmed by the College Football Playoff Committee chair yesterday, that there was nothing a team like Miami can do to jump ahead of Alabama, because the Hurricanes do not have any additional games on the schedule. No extra, as they love to say, data point when it comes to this. So right now, the seeding, the way it works, you have the top-ranked champions of their conferences that get the bye, right? And so it's not saying that Boise State, for example, is the fourth best team in the country. They're the 4 seed because right now, if they win their conference championship game on Friday night, they would be the highest group of 5 champ, and therefore they would also be.
Yes, the group of 5 champ gets in.
They do.
The highest ranked one does get in.
Right now, the byes are Oregon, Texas, SMU, and Boise State as the 4 seeds, the top 4 seeds. Then you have Penn State as a 5, would right now play 12 seed Arizona State, who still has to win the Big 12 championship this weekend against Iowa State. On the other side, you have 6 seed Notre Dame, who would host 11 seed Alabama. Georgia, the 7 seed, would host 10 seed Indiana. And then in Columbus, Ohio, remember Ohio State, they're locked in because they're not playing the conference title game, and there's nothing anybody can do to really leapfrog them much, right? Ohio State would host 9 seed Tennessee. That's the current playoff, and not a whole lot is going to change. Really, the only thing that can change is what's going on with SMU. SMU and Clemson. That's the one, in the ACC title game, that's the one thing that can kind of change everything up. But everybody was bummed out, I guess, upset, shocked when they saw Alabama, who has 3 losses, currently slated as the 11th seed, and the committee chair already said, hey, all these other teams, Ole Miss, Miami, etc., none of them can do anything to surpass them.
Correct.
Alabama is locked in, essentially. I know if SMU loses, there's some noise.
It's between those two.
But do we think, be honest, do we think that the committee's going to take out Alabama? I don't think so.
I was talking to our guy Jay Binkley last night about that, and he said, I think SMU should be in. I said, I do too, but are they going to do it, Bink?
And that's what we have to remember. Ultimately, with these college football playoff rankings, it is all about eyeballs, and the committee wants to feature in their mind the best matchups, the biggest brands. I'm not saying it's fair, it's right, but we've seen this time and time again. Whether it's expanded playoffs now or when it was only 4, they're going to do everything possible to get the biggest brand names on television. And I'll be honest, Alabama going to South Bend in December, playing Notre Dame.
I like the concept of it.
You're telling me that the casual observer's not interested in that versus the equivalent, which would be what? Miami going to Notre Dame? That's not as exciting even for me. I'll be honest. I'm not telling you it's right. I'm just saying I get it. And we should not be stunned that Alabama, they could expand the playoff to 20 and Alabama could be 21 and Alabama got 4 losses and they'd find a way to get Alabama in. They're not. Alabama is basically can never be eliminated apparently from the college football playoff.
So I think it's really interesting when you look at the resumes, and I know that the Alabama's the bigger brand, but if you look at the resumes of the schools that are in the discussion, being Miami, being Alabama, being Ole Miss, and being South Carolina. I don't think Alabama or Miami are as good as South Carolina or Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss should be the team that's actually in the 11 spot instead of Alabama, because Ole Miss, yes, they have the same amount of losses, but they did not get beat as badly as Oklahoma beat Alabama. Also, Ole Miss beat Oklahoma. So if you're looking at like that comparison's sake, Ole Miss might have a better resume. What's interesting, I think, to me as well in this, and they might not be able to do anything. South Carolina just beat Clemson in Clemson on the road in that rivalry game. If Clemson beats SMU, then all of a sudden, if you're South Carolina, not only do you have the win over Texas A&M where you throttled A&M, not only do you have the win over some of these other schools, you have the win over Clemson, who won the ACC. So that technically enhances South Carolina's resume. But to your point, for the committee, I think the committee were too honest, because I don't think they could sit up there and basically say these guys can't do anything else. Because now it sets a bad precedent of...
I know.
I think it sets a really sketchy precedent going forward of... Basically, we have everything locked in now. So if let's say...
One spot is really all we're talking about.
Correct.
Now.
Somebody from the text line brings this up. If Texas beats Georgia, then should Georgia be out? They won't be,
They'll
because
be in, though. Yeah.
because what the committee said, unless the committee is lying to you, Georgia's in regardless of what happens in that game. If Georgia's out, this is where I don't think they can say anything, because if Texas beats Georgia, let's say Texas wins by 15, like how Georgia beat them. Let's say it's flipped.
Okay.
Texas beats Georgia by 15 points. They'll have lost to Ole Miss by 18 and to Texas by 15. I don't think that's enough to get you in, but the committee already made their bed. So I think that's where it's very sketchy the way that they've gone about their business, because it's different for everybody.
Well,
there's no set criteria, which is my biggest problem. Because Alabama getting in, fine. If the criteria meets it, then it's fine. But it's different for every single individual team, where South Carolina had a hell of a win and they moved up one spot, and Alabama lost to Oklahoma, and they're still like, for them to claim ranked wins matter and all of this stuff, but for South Carolina to win a game on the road against a team that was higher ranked than them, by the way, I don't. They have their priorities messed up with certain teams, in my opinion.
But what we've learned long ago, whether BCS was one thing, now we've been in the college football playoff era for quite some time, and now we're seeing expanded playoff. No matter what, the committee can say anything. They're always going to have the ability, and they've shown they're willing to use it, to pick a team and come up with some, you're dealing with humans on a committee, come up with some reason that we may disagree. Like, they're always going to get the matchup they want, and if it means one year they considered it this way, like next year, just because they're telling us this year this matters and that doesn't matter, or this matters and that doesn't matter, doesn't mean next year they're using the same thing. We've learned that throughout this entire process. They'll come up with any reasoning to fit what they need to have fit for that particular year. Because, if we're just looking at it, Bama gets in over Miami, and Miami went 1-2 in their last 3 games, is what they're saying, by an average of 4.5 points to a ranked Syracuse team and a Georgia Tech team that we all know went to 8 overtimes against Georgia. Yeah. Bama goes 2-1 to a 5-7 Auburn team. They got beat up by Oklahoma, and then they beat an FCS school in Mercer. So basically they're saying, like, hey, just you should also make sure you schedule a cupcake in FCS school late in the year, too. That's going to help you out. But next year, if it's another team that does that, they'll use that against them. That's the problem, is every year they will just change it to however they need to do to make sure an SEC school gets in, which is why I think the Big 12 screwed up on one thing, Drew. There was the reports, a year ago, maybe in this past offseason.
Yes, it was.
They had the ability to potentially agree to a guarantee auto bid where they didn't like it because the SEC and Big 10 would have been guaranteed 3 auto bids, correct, if I'm not mistaken? And the Big 12 would have only been guaranteed 2. And the Big 12 did not like that. Here they are, they're only going to get 1, and there's no way anybody else from the Big 12 can leapfrog any of these teams, is what the committee basically said last night. So it's a mess, but I think this is not something that should surprise anybody whatsoever, that this is the system that we have.
Somebody said position 8 through 12 should be by fan vote. We could make a better decision than the committee, correct. So the thing that makes it interesting is, to me, I think actually this weekend, this is why the committee really messed up, by being too honest and by saying how they for them to admit what they admitted. Because this weekend, there could be some craziness that goes on that actually improves South Carolina's resume and then Ole Miss as well.
It doesn't matter.
Somebody goes, what if Georgia beats Texas again? What does that do for Ole Miss? It makes Ole Miss's case better. They beat Georgia by 18 points. They'll have beaten the SEC champ by 18 points, but it doesn't mean anything, which, again, it should mean something. Because that's what is crazy to me, is that Alabama is such a bigger brand than Ole Miss, but they're both in the same conference. So I think it's very interesting when we talk about this isn't even SEC bias in this conversation, because in that conversation it's Miami, big brand, blue blood, old blue blood, probably not anymore, but South Carolina, SEC, Ole Miss, SEC, Alabama, SEC. So if we're if we're talking about the eye test and watching teams play, I don't think Miami's as good as any of those teams because they have to score 35 points a game. Otherwise, they're losing the game. And they've also lost 3 times. Or, they've lost enough where that's a problem.
This was one of the downs. Overall, I like the expansion of the playoff, but one of the downsides was that conference title game weekend is going to mean less and less. And we're seeing that firsthand. It's going to have the impact on one spot. If SMU wins, they'll stay in. If they lose to Clemson, I think they'll be out and they'll choose Alabama instead. But it means that game, that's the only game really that means a whole lot. In the group of 5 standings, it means something only because there's one spot for a group of 5 where, UNLV and Boise State, the winner of that.
Friday night.
The other thing I saw people were complaining about was just the way the seeding works, which is how we do playoffs in every single sport in this country for the most part, which is they're like, well, Boise State's not the 4th-ranked team in the country, but they're getting the 4 seed. Yeah, that's no different than how we do in the NFL playoffs. How many times have we seen an NFC West team or an NFC South team have 9 wins, and they get to host a playoff game against a 12-win wildcard team? It happens. We all are like, oh, my gosh, this is crazy. But this is not unique to college football. It happens in baseball, where a wildcard team has a better record sometimes, not always, sometimes, than a divisional team, and they get home field advantage over the quote-unquote better team. That's no different. If everybody wanted to avoid that, well, then we shouldn't have allowed automatic qualifiers. Then that's something that needs to be tweaked.
Correct.
But overall, my thing, despite the issues, and some of them are valid, I told you when they expanded, and this applies for future college basketball tournament expansion. This applies to if they ever get to more expansion in baseball, if they expand this 12-team, playoff in college football, if they go to 14 or 16 eventually. When your team 13 or 14 and they already expanded it, I'll be honest, it's a little bit of cry me a river. Your case, you didn't do enough to win. If they had 20 teams, the 21st and 22nd team, everybody would say, they're more deserving. If we had 50 teams, the 51st and 52nd team would be kind of bitching and moaning out there about not getting in. So I feel way less upset and bad for team 12 or 13 and 14 than I did for team 5 and 6 when we only had 4 of these spots. Like you didn't do enough. Like, yes, you can say Ole Miss has a better resume than Alabama. That's a fair debate. But my point is, like, Ole Miss, you didn't do enough. You lost the Jackson Dart a couple weeks ago threw 3 picks and looked terrible. You lost a game. It happens. You didn't do enough to ensure you got in.
Yeah, I just think that, the same thing can be, because I think to your point, the same thing would be said if Alabama was out. It'd be the exact same opinion from your standpoint. I do think it's just there. The conferences that wanted expansion were the SEC and the Big Ten because they knew that this was in all likelihood going to happen. Now I think everybody, if Alabama does get in, is going to be rooting like crazy, believe it or not, for Notre Dame, at least in this standpoint, which would be crazy to think about. The idea, though, of the college football playoff and the way that it was, I get that people are complaining about seeding, but the way that it was set up, I don't know why there can be any complaining. The rules are very straightforward, and the highest-ranked conference champions, the 4, are going to get the byes. And in some situations, you might not. I'll still make this case. I heard somebody else make it. I can't remember who it was. You'd almost rather have a bye. Or you'd almost rather not have a bye. You'd rather host a game at home. Because this is
I think it depends on the school you are. I think it depends on the school you are. Like if you're a Boise State, to have a college football playoff game on the blue turf, that would be an all-time moment for that program.
They wouldn't host though.
Well, I'm saying if they didn't.
But yes,
in this scenario though, like for them, hosting a game would mean more than Alabama hosting a game on their campus as well. Is all I'm saying. In general, the path to win a national championship, obviously, you play one less game, you got a better chance.
Sure. I think that for me, the thing is like. Ohio State, because they lost to Michigan, their path is a lot tougher now to make it to where they need to. But them hosting a game, they get a de facto bye week this week, actually. So you don't really lose out on a bye week. Like, you get one, and you get to host a game at home. It almost is worth it.
Still got to play more games, though, in the playoff to get there. Sure. Like, if you're one of the top 4 seeds, you're 2 games away from going to a national title game versus 3, right?
But you avoid playing in the conference title game. Like, it's not it's an extra game to get there, but it's not like you're not playing more games than the other team that's in a conference title game.
We'll talk more about this, I'm sure, a little bit later on in the show, but I want to get right back to the NFL. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL insider. I want to ask him about how easy or not easy it is for DJ Humphries to just go in and play on Sunday Night Football, and we'll get his perspective on the rest of the AFC. That's coming up next here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Kansas City is Sean Bardwell. You know there's nothing easier than to enjoy watching the Chiefs with some wings and an ice-cold Bud Light. And Buffalo Wild Wings is serving up both for every game, all season long. Join me at Buffalo Wild Wings, located off Berry Road and Prairie Drive in KC Mo, Friday, December 6th. I'll be there from 6 to 8 p.m. celebrating the back-to-back Super Bowl champs while eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. Nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
For more, go to 965thefan.com. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Here's another great reason to use the United States Postal Service this season. Your boxes are wrapped and the gifts are in. Our employees are ready. Let the holiday ride begin. Let's start with the price. It's easy to manage when you ship with the reliable USPS Ground Advantage. In just a few days, it's sure to arrive. We're working nonstop to keep the spirit alive. USPS Ground Advantage, the affordable and reliable shipping solution for the holidays. Visit USPS.com/advantage.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text FORCE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone-boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text FORCE to 42424. That's FORCE to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This holiday at T-Mobile, I'm joined by a special co-anchor.
What up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Snoop D-O Double G.
Snoop, let's talk about T-Mobile.
Okay, cool.
This holiday, get 4 lines for $25 a line. Plus, 4 iPhone 16s with Apple Intelligence and the all-new camera control on us.
Let's get cracking, like a breakfast egg.
You can use those eggs to make some eggnog, Snoop.
Respect.
And people do love T-Mobile, where you can save on every plan versus the other big guys when you switch.
You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
Always a great stocking stuffer, Snoop.
We up out of here.
Hold your horses, Snoop D-O Double G. Let's remind people one more time.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get 4 iPhone 16s with Apple Intelligence on us. Plus 4 lines for $25. Now drop that jangle.
With 24 monthly bill credits, 4 eligible trade-ins, and 4 new lines with autopay. Well qualified customers plus taxes and fees and $35 per line connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits and credit stop and balance on required finance agreements due. $829.99 credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save on wireless and streaming versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence requires iOS 18.1 or later.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's sea to shining sea, and water damage as far as the eye can see.
It's America.
It's freshly mowed grass and a fence that was freshly vandalized by a pack of unruly teens.
It's America.
It's also round-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Okay, so that's with bacon, cheese, lettuce, tomato, grilled onions, ketchup, and hold the pickles.
You know what you like. You wouldn't order your burger just any way. Why should your sports talk be any different? With Chapters on the free Odyssey app, you can choose the topics that matter to you most. Whether it's reactions, matchup previews, injury updates, or team news, quickly find what you really care about. Your football talk, your way. Download the free Odyssey app and start listening today.
The Gingerbread Holiday Pop-Up at T-Mobile Center. The Gingerbread is Kansas City's newest and most delicious destination this holiday season. Located at Conica Minolta Founders Club inside T-Mobile Center, the Gingerbread is a magical, one-of-a-kind experience where you can celebrate in style. You'll love it. Visit t-mobilecenter.com for more.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
All right, back here on Cody and Gold, just getting started on a Wednesday. Reminder, coming up at 11:45, you'll hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes right here on your home for the Chiefs, 96.5 The Fan. Alex Gold with you, Drew Nixon producing the show, co-hosting with me. Cody will be back tomorrow. We'll get back into the Royals here in 10 minutes or so as Brooks Sherman was on with CDOT yesterday talking about the new Royals TV deal, some specifics. A lot of you had some questions about what that's going to look like. Can you watch them on YouTube TV and all that? We'll get to that coming up in just a few minutes. But let's go out to the hotline and welcome in our Odyssey NFL insider, Ross Tucker. Of course, Insider Calls brought to you by Hellman's Real Mayonnaise. May your game day be delicious. Ross, I must say, I caught one of your broadcasts of one of many that you had in the last week or so. And yes, I do know what a Polaroid is. I think at one point you were asking if that was something that your audience would relate to. I don't know if my producer knows what a Polaroid is, but I definitely do.
Yeah, Polaroid or Kodak. It is funny that a lot of people wouldn't, I feel like, know that, especially under the age of like 25. But that used to be, I mean, we used to have disposable cameras, and that, like when I was in college, all of the scandalous photos that would be on cell phones now, those are all on disposable. I think maybe they had it right. Maybe we had it right back then that the college and high school photos should be on disposable cameras.
Yeah, and now what's weird is the Polaroid thing is like a very popular thing at weddings now. Like for the guest book, a lot of these weddings now are having miniature Polaroids, and you take a photo with that, it prints out, and then you tape it basically to the guest book. That's a very popular thing. It's coming back, I guess.
Somebody told me that recently. Somebody texted me and said they just bought a Polaroid camera. I was like, wait, what? I guess, I don't know. It's just like the running game in the NFL. Everything always comes back eventually.
That's exactly right. You're a perfect person to ask this question to about the offensive line here in Kansas City. Throughout this year, we've asked you about Wanya Morris, and I think it's pretty clear now, in my opinion, and in most people's opinion here in Kansas City, he cannot play left tackle in 2024 again for this football team. I know he's not healthy either, so that's part of the equation. But he's been brutal, specifically the last couple of weeks. And DJ Humphries was brought in for a reason. Andy kind of said basically it's going to depend how this week goes. How easy do you think this is for DJ Humphries, who hasn't played in, 11 months, to maybe step in and start on Sunday Night Football against Joey Bosa and company?
Well, so there's two aspects of that, right? There's the health aspect for DJ. I can't really speak to that one. You know what I mean? Like I can't. Sure. I don't know how he's feeling or how the rehab went or any of that stuff. So that part of it's tough. The flip side, though, the other part of it, which is, just not having played for that long, it's not that easy. I mean, I think it's the right thing to get him going now and get him rolling now so that he's in a better spot for the playoffs. I can remember, the only thing I can compare it to, well, I guess it's a little bit different, but in 2005, I had a back surgery. and was out for a while, came back, and then I actually got cut. And I didn't get signed till like around now, like week 14. And it definitely takes a little bit to get used to. I mean, there's I feel like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth. There is a riding a bike element to it in that you've been doing it your whole life for a long time and you're comfortable with it. But it's like the speed of it when you've been out of it for a while, you're like, whoa, I forgot how fast all these things happen. That's the part that he needs to really catch up to quick.
I believe that the offense still is more likely to get things figured out than the defense. I don't know if you agree with that watching it. The reason for that, in my opinion, is look, they have potential reinforcements coming on offense. DJ Humphries, maybe we'll see. Obviously, Isaiah Pacheco is now getting back in the swing of things. It looks like Hollywood Brown could be available for starting the Christmas Day game. We'll see how that all turns out. On defense, they get Charles Omenihu back, which is going to help the pass rush. But in the secondary, where they've been really vulnerable, they really don't have anybody coming to help them there. It is kind of what it is.
And it's stunning because it felt like they were one of the best defenses, one of the best secondaries for most of the season. And then, I don't know, man, it's like ever since Jalen Watson went down, it just feels like they've been different on the back end. And I'm a little bit surprised by that because they had other guys, right, that have played football for them that I thought, would be able to fill in the situation. I guess I kind of always thought Josh Williams, last year I thought when he played, he did a pretty decent job. But evidently that's not the case. Them having to have McDuffy outside. Now they have to put Connor inside. They've ended up moving a bunch of parts as it relates to this. It's almost like they were prepared to lose a guy like L'Jarius Sneed, and to be able to handle that, it's adding then losing Watson on top of it that's become a real problem. And I would say that's somewhat typical. Now, the difference is Sneed, they let him go in free agency. They knew he wasn't going to be there. Whereas for these other, teams, when you lose two guys at a position, that's usually problematic, right? I mean, they always want to make sure they've got the next guy ready at a spot. Once you go down further and it's the guy after the guy, a lot of times that guy after the guy is not going to be NFL starting caliber.
We're talking to our Odyssey NFL insider, Ross Tucker, a team that I think is in way worse shape, and it was a team that a month or so ago, everybody thought was suddenly going to be unbeatable, and that's Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. They now have 5 losses, looking more and more like they're going to be a wild card team. They got a kicker that clearly, I think, just lack of confidence at this point in time with Justin Tucker. Where are you at on Baltimore in terms of the AFC picture? They're going to be in the playoffs. We all know that, but given their playoff history and kind of lack of success there, are they a threat still to go on a run in the postseason?
They are, just because of their pedigree and because of how well Lamar Jackson's played this year, but I don't envision them winning 3 road playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. Look, they've had multiple opportunities with Lamar Jackson, where all they had to do was win 2 home games to get to the Super Bowl, and they couldn't do it. So, I don't know, maybe Lamar can go on a Flaccovian run like Joe did back in 2012 and win 3 road playoff games, but I tend to doubt that. I actually think the Steelers are probably more of a threat now, given the fact that they're probably going to win that division. And if Russell Wilson can play the way he did in this last game against Cincinnati, if he can play that in the playoffs, then the Steelers have a legitimate chance. And they have a quarterback playing at like a top 10 level.
You saw Josh Allen firsthand there, Sunday Night Football, the blowout win against the 49ers. And, of course, he ends up throwing a pass to himself, gets 2 touchdowns on one play for those that are playing fantasy football, so they enjoyed that. That was hours after seemingly, at least on social media, everybody just wanted to hand the MVP award already to Saquon Barkley, who's been sensational this year. And as things sit this morning, Josh Allen is a decent-sized favorite. I think Barkley's 5-1 now to win it. How do you see the MVP conversation going? Because we know as a running back, you're just at a massive disadvantage, especially in 2024, to win that award.
Yeah, well, for a lot of reasons. Because the Eagles are a smart organization, and they know they need that guy full throttle for the playoffs to win the Super Bowl. So not only is there a chance they lock up the number 1 seed and they don't play in the last game, but I would think like even this Sunday against Carolina, I would not think he would get that many touches, right? Like they really need to start to try to reduce his volume and touches, not only just for the playoffs this year, but also the track record of guys with a ton of touches the next year is bad, like really bad. So I think for a bunch of reasons, I would expect his numbers to start to dissipate a little bit or come down. I don't think he's going to keep breaking off 150 yards a game like he has been. And I don't know that he'll get that many touches.
Yeah, I think the issue too just is the narrative around that award. It's why everybody suggests that we just need to start calling the MVP what it is, and it's the best quarterback on the best team kind of award. And then Offensive Player of the Year has become the non-quarterback award. Let's just call it like it is instead of trying to pretending a running back can win it. Because if Barkley doesn't win it this year, then I mean honestly, how is a running back winning it again since 2012 when Adrian Peterson did it?
I think the answer is it's got to be kind of like what Peterson did, which is the Vikings needed every one of those yards to make the playoffs that year with Ponder. And by the way, their quarterback, I think, was Christian Ponder. You know what I mean? Like, it makes it even more impressive what Peterson did that year. And he had the thing where he was coming off the injury, which made it all the more impressive, I would say. But it's a fair point. If he doesn't win it this year, I think we have to wonder if anybody ever will. But I think you could have said that about McCaffrey last year, to be honest with you. I mean, McCaffrey had an unbelievable year last year.
He certainly did. Last one for you, Ross. 49ers, that was a complete mess. This whole season's really been a complete mess. Injury after injury. It's not even just McCaffrey. It's not even their backup running back. We can keep going through the entire roster. I don't want to say it's a complete reset there in San Fran, but Brock Purdy's getting paid here very, very soon. George Kittle and Trent Williams, those guys aren't getting younger. Where do you think that 49ers organization is at? Kyle Shanahan, I think, is one of the best head coaches in the league, but seemingly that's an organization that's going to look a little bit different here going forward.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I go on with those guys on Tuesday, and they were talking with me about Brock Purdy and his contract, and that's going to be an interesting one, man. I mean, clearly he's operated at a high level. They could have won a Super Bowl with him. They want him to be their quarterback. But if he wants truly top of the market, like $60 million a year, like Dak Prescott, boy, that's something that they really need to think about. I mean, really need to think about, because that is less than ideal to have a quarterback like him, especially when you feel like there's probably other guys like Sam Darnold-esque that you could get to play at a high level. And maybe not the Purdy level, but a high level. This is a very, very unfortunate set of circumstances for them this year with all these injuries, because it is the last year that Purdy should be making peanuts. He's going to get a contract you would expect from them this offseason. But I think it's a compilation of all their playoff games the last few years, which is why they're having all these injuries. And I think the same thing is the case as well for the Chiefs. I'm actually surprised the Chiefs have stayed relatively as healthy as they have, considering all of the extra games they've played, the extra snaps the last few years. It's impressive to me that the Chiefs haven't lost more guys.
Yeah, the number of games is racked up. That's why Chris Jones was talking after the Chiefs game last Friday against the Raiders, saying that he thinks if you're going to, not only with the extra playoff games they've played, but if you're going to have the Chiefs playing as many games in a 10 or 11-day span as they are here coming up later on this month around Christmas, that you should be mandated to have a later bye week. A lot of talk here, the Chiefs had a week 6 bye week. People felt like if you're going to have them play as many games as they are later this month, they should have been given a later bye week. I'm sure people outside of Kansas City would kind of say, cry me a river, but I think it's a valid point.
It is a valid point. It is something that is absolutely a factor that people need to consider. I mean, there's reasons why nobody's ever won 3 in a row. You know what I mean? Like, I think what they've been able to do, and we've talked about this before, and I might even write an article about this, the amount of one-score games that they've won, primarily in the playoffs, but even this year it is preposterous. It goes against any statistical model or analytics or all these games late in the game, if you look, they would say like the Chiefs win probability is like 62%, 54%. They win all of them. That they win like almost all of them. I mean, if you added up all the percentages, the Chiefs are like the greatest statistical anomaly in the history of sports.
Yeah, it's the 14 straight one-score game victories. It's I believe that's an NFL record. It is it's pretty remarkable. Ross, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you coming on. We'll check in next week.
Sounds great. Take care.
There you go. That's Ross Tucker, our Odyssey NFL insider. Calls brought to you by Hellman's Real Mayonnaise. You can purchase Hellman's at your local Walmart, Kroger, or grocery store to add extra deliciousness and creamy flavor to your game day dishes this football season. Yeah, the number of game thing. I mean, it's weird. The Chiefs are getting healthier now, but I do think some of the injuries are because of that. Some of them aren't. Like, Hollywood Brown wasn't on this team, right? Is Pacheco's injury, is it because they played in more games? I think that's why it's impressive, the level we talk about older guys on the roster, the level of play of Chris Jones and Travis Kelce, and some of these guys have been part of these Super Bowl runs for year after year. The 49ers, yeah, and they're completely banged up, and they just haven't performed at nearly the same level. And Brock Purdy, I think he's still getting paid in San Fran because somebody's going to give him $60 million. But it's always that your next man up. It's what the cost of a franchise quarterback is, and the job of the 49ers gets way more challenging when Brock Purdy's going to be making that kind of money.
Yeah, that was where, even I don't know if it came up last year, but the pressure seemed to be on them more just because of the pay structure that they had where, hey, you've got to, you're going to have to pay Brock Purdy. You've got all of these guys in line who you are paying, who you're going to have to lose. At least some, you're going to have to cut ties with some of them. You're going to have to make some tough decisions, and now we're at that point where, especially now given the season, they're going to have to figure it out.
Coming up at 11:15, Josh Vern, our Royals insider, is going to join me. It's been a while since we checked in with Vern. I don't think we've talked to Vern since the Jonathan India move. I want to get his perspective there. What other rumors are out there right now? So we'll talk some Royals baseball, on the field kind of stuff. But away from the field, yesterday during our show, the news kind of broke about the Royals renewing, signing a new one-year deal. That's important. It's a one-year deal with what used to be called Bally. It's now the FanDuel Sports Network. It's the same company, Diamond Sports Group, and a lot of people had questions about it. Carrington had Brooks Sherman, president of baseball operations for the Royals, on his show yesterday to try to get a little more detail on what this looks like. And I'll play a cut here in a second on that. For me, the biggest change with this is that I have the ability, you have the ability. If you're going to watch the Royals and try to watch the Royals, you now can watch them through Amazon's app that most of you already have. I think it's 180 million people have our Amazon Prime subscribers. I believe that's the number, which is insane. I think it's the largest by far out of Netflix and all the other streaming platforms that are out there. Amazon's, of course, just a complete juggernaut. But that app we already watch for Thursday Night Football, and I don't ever have any issues really with the Amazon app. That was a big complaint of mine and others with the Bally app last year. So that, to me, is like the biggest change and biggest positive out of that. Is it perfect? No, because I also watch you on YouTube TV. That's what I subscribe to. And you will still not be able to watch Royals games through YouTube TV. That part stinks. And I think a lot of you have expressed that through the text line. The fact that I can watch through Amazon is nice. And yes, it's still an add-on. Someone says, is it still an additional cost? Look, I'll just say this, of course it's an additional cost. That's just where we're at. I would love to not have to pay for a lot of things, but there's just no going back to the old model, guys. Like there's just not, and I know the NFL games, for the most part, are free, although more and more of them are not. I mean, the Chiefs are going to play the Texans on Peacock. The Chiefs are going to play the Steelers on Christmas on Netflix. We know the wild card game last year was also on Peacock. Now, if you're in the local market, you can watch over the air. But that the NFL is even going more stream heavy. That's where everything is going. And the NFL also has way fewer games than Major League Baseball. So, yeah, I would love to not pay to watch the Royals on Amazon. I'm saying it's the better distribution method than what they have had in the past. But, they didn't announce a price. Here's what Brooks Sherman had to say about what the deal actually means for consumers. I think it'll answer some of your questions.
First and foremost, that you will continue to be able to see the games just as you did last year, whether that's linear TV or direct-to-consumer. The enhancements with direct-to-consumer this year will be that with the newly named FanDuel Sports Network, there's a relationship with Amazon. So on Amazon Prime, you will have a button to click on there to be able to go in and subscribe to the games that way. So we're looking at greater reach. We want to reach as many fans as possible. But that's the good news is that, it's very simple for our fan to watch the games. Same as last year, but enhanced when you think of a direct-to-consumer product.
So that was Brooks Sherman, president of baseball ops for the Royals. He was on with CDOT yesterday. Is it a perfect deal? No. Is it still better than last year? Slightly, because of the Amazon factor. The perfect deal, if we're being realistic, other than it being free, that's not a realistic deal. The perfect deal, in my opinion, would be I'd be able to watch it on YouTube TV as well. You're going to be able to watch it through an app like you did last year. It's just a different name, but essentially the same app, or on Amazon. That's the setup. He also mentioned in the interview with Carrington that part of this deal, they have the ability to potentially reach an agreement with local TV partners for, I think, 10 to 12 games that could be simulcast. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but maybe they get a deal done with Channel 5 or Channel 9 or Fox 4 or whatever, and they're able to have select games on there. That is to be determined, but there's a chance of that. It's a one-year deal, too. Keep that in mind. This is only 1 year. This is not how it's going to be for 3 years. And I think the reason why they're doing one-year deals is we all know Major League Baseball-wide, a lot of contracts are going to be up, 2028 or so? And there's a thought of trying to bring everything under one umbrella in-house. That's, I think, the goal and dream of a lot of owners and a lot of teams out there, and certainly smaller markets. But that, once again, requires getting the big boys, if you will, the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Angels and the Mets to come on board and willing to maybe take a little haircut early for the greater good and long-term picture where they can make some more money. But I do love the fact that it's coming to Amazon. And, of course, you can just listen to the games on 96.5 The Fan anyway.
Yeah, for free.
That's right. 913-586-7965. Let's squeeze in a quick trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
This one ties in with the Chiefs a little bit. It's because they put out a social media video yesterday. Friend of the show, Matt McMullen, went to a McDonald's, and you're like, okay, why? Matt McMullen, Chiefs reporter. It's because Matt Nagy at training camp, I guess, or at a practice, talked about his McDonald's order. And then Matt McMullen went and did the order in a drive-thru. You should watch the video. Props to Matt. Here was the order. I want you to hear the order for Matt Nagy.
Do you remember the order?
Long ball, what was the order?
A Big Mac, no pickles, a double cheeseburger, no pickles, a fish fillet, a 6-piece nugget with barbecue, hot fudge sundae, and a Diet Coke. I throw it all away when I'm done eating it in the garage trash before I go inside to the kitchen.
What do you make of that order? Could you do that order? I think here's an offer for you, Drew. You guys know, if you've been listening to the show, that we have an outstanding bet that needs to be paid from Drew. Going back to the Cincinnati game in week 2 of the season, that we were going to do the 24-hour McDonald's challenge. That has not happened yet. You did pay off the other portion of the bet.
I did.
If you don't want to do the 24-hour McDonald's challenge, why don't you just do the Matt Nagy long ball order?
Well, the fish fillet is
the reason why I could not do is strictly everything else I'm all about.
Hang on, so
the fish fillet is the problem.
So let me ask you this: Matt Nagy said when he's done with it, he throws it away. It sounds like he doesn't eat all the food. Do I have to eat all the food?
No. He doesn't. I don't think want his wife or whatever or bring it to the house.
A Big Mac, no pickles, a double cheeseburger, no pickles, a fish fillet, a 6-piece nugget with barbecue, hot fudge sundae, and a Diet Coke. I throw it all away when I'm done eating it.
When he's done eating it?
Yeah, there's no way that he eats
I believe
all of
it.
that.
I believe it.
I don't think he eats all of it.
Oh, I think he does. Why? You think he's lying? I think he absolutely eats all of it.
I think what he meant was he gets all of that, and when he's done eating it, when he's like, you know what, I'm full. It's not all done, but when it's done, when it's because it wouldn't matter where he threw it away at if he ate it all. I'm just saying, if I eat it and I just eat as much as I can of it, then it's a deal. But I'm not saying I'm going to be able to eat very much of it. I will try to eat it.
I think the gist of the bet is that you have to eat all of it. Obviously, we're not going to literally force you to eat it. But I think the goal would be we get you the order at the start of the show, and you got to eat it throughout the show, and you're better off just trying to eat it in the first half hour and be done with it. The fillet of fish is where I would have a problem.
Can I get the rest of the day off after I finish it?
Maybe so. We'll get you some Tums as well.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to take the next day off, too.
That is the trash of the day. Up next, I'll ask you guys the same question our social media team asked us. If you've been on Instagram today, you've seen the video. It has to do with the Chiefs and Chargers history and the quarterbacks involved in it. That's coming up next. Friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Men, we hear it all the time. A man comes in to get his erectile dysfunction treated, and very soon thereafter, he tells us that his relationship is renewed. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and you should know that ED doesn't just affect you, it also often affects your partner. They can feel undesired, unwanted, they may even feel like you don't love them anymore. At Heartland Men's Health, we've successfully treated thousands of men for ED with protocols that have success rates well over 90%, which means if you're like most men, we can get you back to the guy you used to be. You could even last up to an hour or more and find you're performing like you haven't in years. So call us today and give your partner the gift of renewed love. Your first visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in our office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
The holidays make me nostalgic. I think about all the family recipes my mom would make, and now I pass those recipes down to my kids. I know I can get all the quality ingredients at Hy-Vee. My store has everything to make the holidays perfect, including heat and serve complete holiday meals for any size group. And don't forget the amazing wine and spirits department. Hy-Vee's Taste of the Holidays event is this Saturday, December 7th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., where you can sample amazing menu options or get a little holiday inspiration. This holiday season, let Hy-Vee do the cooking while you take the credit.
Score big savings with Hy-Vee and the Kansas City Chiefs. Big points mean even bigger savings. Just shop Hy-Vee the day after a game and earn a fuel saver discount equal to the Chiefs score and based on the amount you spend. If the Chiefs score 42 points, you save 42 cents a gallon with any $42 purchase. The more we score, the more you save. Win or lose, everyone scores the day after a Chiefs game only at Hy-Vee. Offer good in store and online. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Hey investors, this is JD again with Crossroads Investment Lending. Still wanting to get in that fix and flip game? Don't have the money? Maybe you've always wanted to get yourself a rental property. We can help you get in the door. Call the fix and flip guys at Crossroads Investment Lending, 913-766-2900, or go to kclend.com. That's KCLEND.com. Get started in the fix and flip game. What are you waiting for? That's Crossroads Investment Lending, 913-766-2900 or kclend.com.
As you've likely figured out, I can get pretty fired up. Whether it's lab diamond ripoffs, bogus sells and financing offers, or paint-by-number jewelry sold as custom, I'm pretty passionate about protecting my client family from predatory jewelers. This is Gene at House of Diamonds, and when I say client family, I really do mean family. At House of Diamonds, we have clients who have watched our kids grow from diapers to dormitories. My family and I are personally in the store every day. We go to school and church here. Our kids play sports here. We look our clients in the eye, not in their bank accounts. Our relationships are based on trust and respect, not ad gimmicks and false promises. No fake custom jewelry, no bogus sales and financing offers, and absolutely no lab diamond ripoffs. Everything at House of Diamonds is real. Me, my family, our team, our passion, and hopefully soon you. House of Diamonds on the southeast corner of College and Quivira.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunk Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at tryethos.com. That's tryethos.com.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Listen to the Chiefs and Chargers game on Sunday with pregame starting at 4, kickoff just after 7 with Mitch, Dannon, and Kling. Right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold with you. Drew Nixon co-hosting and producing with me today. Coming up at 11:45. Going to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes right here on your home for the Chiefs, 96.5 The Fan. Here in about 15 minutes, Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, is going to join me. We haven't had him on the show in a bit since the Jonathan India trade, since some of the latest rumors are out there. What did that trade do for the future of guys like Michael Massey or Michael Garcia? A lot of Royals stuff to catch up on. Plus, definitely going to ask Vern about that golden at-bat rule, which you guys know my thoughts on that. If you listened to the show yesterday, you can find the podcast. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. We'll ask Vern his opinion on that. One thing, though, that you guys want to make sure you do, real quick, it takes 2 seconds out of your day. You know, on Wednesdays, especially during the noon hour here on Cody and Gold, it's our official lunch partner, Jefferson's, in the noon hour, where you can catch every game at Jefferson's, from blocked field goals, incredible catches. You can witness every great moment at a restaurant that's proudly local. Visit Jefferson's in Lenexa, North Kansas City. Jefferson's wings, burgers, oysters. If you go to our Instagram page right now, if you go to the 96.5 The Fan Instagram page, you'll see there's a post. It says Jefferson's $250 gift card. You can enter to win a $250 Jefferson's gift card right now on our Instagram page. It has instructions right on there, but it's basically like it, comment, tag a friend. Very simple stuff. Go to our Instagram page. Full details are up there. But why not? A chance to win $250. We'll be giving one of those away every month for the next couple of months. But it is a Jefferson's Lunch Wednesday here, as it is each and every Wednesday during Cody and Gold. In the meantime, before we talk some Royals baseball with Vern, I'm going to ask you guys the same question that our social media team came up and asked us about. If you've been on our social today, including Instagram, you probably have seen the video. And it's a Would You Rather Wednesday. And normally we don't ask these on the air, but I think this one is fitting given the fact that the Chiefs, we all know, are playing the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, and the history that exists between these two franchises, the quarterbacks in particular that have been involved or now are currently involved. The question they asked Drew and I and C-Dot and Rob and Cody and everybody around the building was, hey, would you rather have Phillip Rivers or Justin Herbert as your starting quarterback if you were the Chargers, or just in general, right? And you guys can tell me your answer, 913-586-7965. This was a little tough to figure out at first, admittedly, and then I settled with Justin Herbert based off of the pure talent factor. If everything was created equal, same coach, whoever you think the best coach of their era has been, they both have them. Best wide receivers, best tight end. Obviously, Rivers had Antonio Gates going with him. Right now, Justin Herbert doesn't have a tight end like that. All across the board, offense, defense, knowing the competition, all of that, let's just say it's created equal. The answer is Justin Herbert, not who has more accomplishments in their career so far, if we're just talking talent. That's how I took the question, at least. And from a talent perspective, the answer is absolutely Justin Herbert. We'll see when his career is done who has the more impressive career. That's a different question altogether. Who will have the better career is different than who would you rather have as your quarterback. Justin Herbert, from a talent perspective, has way more ability than Phillip Rivers did. That's all I'm saying. We all know Phillip Rivers statistically ended up in some impressive numbers. He's a fringe Hall of Famer. He was top 6 in MVP 2 times. We all know he never won a Super Bowl. He was 5-7 in the postseason. Justin Herbert so far has been in the league for 5 years. This is the 5th year. He's been a Rookie of the Year, and he's only finished top 10 in MVP 1 time. And he obviously is, 0-1 in the postseason. They blew that game to the Jags a couple years ago. So he has a long way to go in terms of the catch-up accomplishment-wise. But just talent, absolutely. And by the way, I feel confident that if we surveyed 32 GMs, the majority of them would also say they would rather start their franchise with a Justin Herbert than a Phillip Rivers.
I think it makes sense. It's fair. I took Phillip Rivers because what have we seen from Justin Herbert that has made you say, yes, there's the talent level on a consistent basis? We haven't seen it enough. And I know that he hasn't had Antonio Gates or technically LaDainian Tomlinson. But
a lot of talent around.
Again,
Phillip.
he had Austin Eckler, not as good as LT, but very good, very productive.
Crappy coaches.
Yeah, I think that's
they
fair.
both did Phillip towards the end, his coach wasn't great, but at one point he had some better coaching.
I mean, I think it's a fair. I understand why you would take Justin Herbert, but coaching also, I think part of coaching. If you're talented enough, you can overcome your coaching at times. We haven't seen it from Justin Herbert yet, where it's like, dude, where is it at? No offense to him, even this year, he looked great against the Bengals. So did Russell Wilson. Anybody who's like, oh yeah, this is Justin Herbert's back. He looks great.
He's also throwing to Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer.
Sure, but if you're paying attention to the entire season and how it's gone offensively, they're not even touching the top 5 or top 10.
That's Harbaugh
in most categories. I think but I think in terms of you watching them play, he doesn't jump off the screen except for when he's playing against the Bengals, who everybody jumps off the screen. Russell Wilson threw his second most career passing yards against.
Yeah.
Everybody does. So I think that's debunked. I know what Phillip Rivers has done, and I think that's part of how I'm skewing it is.
Yeah.
Talent-wise.
Take the accomplishments out of it.
Justin Herbert is there talent-wise, but I know what Phillip Rivers has done and what he did in his career. I haven't seen Justin Herbert get to that talent level where I say, yes, this guy is a top 5 quarterback. He's playing like it week in, week out. We're not getting that. So to me, I would take Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, so Justin Herbert's still only 26.
I get why you would take Herbert. I understand why you take Herbert, though.
Yeah, and at some point, Justin Herbert's going to have the postseason experience and success. Otherwise, we fast forward 10 years from now, if he's still only got to the postseason, 2 or 3 times, it's going to be a problem. But again, I'll take Phillip Rivers did not have a great you can't use the postseason really against Herbert much because
I agree.
Phillip Rivers was 5-7 in the postseason.
I agree.
It's that Phillip Rivers eventually was like top 12, I think, in passing yards and a lot of other statistical categories that were really impressive for him. But Phillip, I'm trying to look at the first couple of years for him.
Phillip was going up against Peyton Manning, too, and Tom Brady at the same time. Where
Herbert's going in the same division as Patrick Mahomes. That's the one thing. Phillip Rivers may have, had Brady at the same time, not in the same division.
I know, but they haven't sniffed the division. And I think part of it is Justin Herbert. I think that Brandon Staley deserves way more of the blame, obviously, in the situation for how Justin Herbert's career, I guess, has played out. But I really think that Justin Herbert has some to do with him not being able to hit that talent level on a consistent basis. Like, you get the inklings, like Chris Collinsworth is losing it over how good Justin Herbert looks for one game, but you didn't hear about him for the first 10 games. He wasn't doing anything, and I know some of that's Harbaugh, but I think you almost have to pick and choose your battles because either you got a really bad coach and you're putting up crazy numbers, or you got a really good coach and the offense doesn't look that great. In the end, he's got to. I want to see him in a playoff game against like Josh Allen. Like that's what I want to see.
Well, sure, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And we might get it this year.
He has to eventually. Like, I'm not arguing that he eventually is going to have to get to the postseason and play multiple games in the postseason and have success. But I just don't think the postseason argument is the one that you want to use against Herbert right now, because it's not as if Phillip Rivers was 2 games under 500. And the quarterback era thing, hey, he played, Phillip played during the most talent-rich quarterback era maybe in NFL history. Agree. Justin Herbert has Patrick Mahomes in his own division. He's playing him twice a year. So this is one of those where I think I think there's an age gap on this one too. Like the video we put out on Instagram, I think you said Phillip Rivers. I obviously said Herbert. I think Bob said Phillip Rivers, and then everybody else might have said Justin Herbert. I think there's you're the exception on the age part of it, but I was not stunned that Fesco said Phillip Rivers. Like, I'm just saying, like, if we were to poll people 30 or younger or 40 or older, and I'm telling you, you're going to see the split on who everybody thinks the better quarterback
Except
is.
for me, I guess, because
that's what I'm saying.
I
think you're the outlier. I really feel confident saying if we polled 100 people and 50 were 40 and older, and 50 were 40 and younger, I think we would see a correlation between that age and who says Herbert's the more talented quarterback, and who would you rather have, and Phillip Rivers.
So because you said he's fringe, I really want to ask, fringe Hall of Fame.
Oh, boy, I don't want to get into this Hall of Fame discussion, but yeah, we got a break, too. Go ahead.
Do you think Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer?
He'll end up in the Hall of Fame. That's
literally because of the Super Bowls.
He will end up in there. Do I think he should be in the Hall of Fame? Probably not. But the NFL, let's be honest, lets a lot of people in these days.
So I think it's an accomplishment award where I think Phillip Rivers is more accomplished and better than Eli Manning. So I think Phillip Rivers gets in too for that reason. That you
Eli
said
will also get in because the media loved him. Right, Eli's going to get in because the media likes him even more now than ever. That matters for the voters.
I know.
It shouldn't.
I know.
A lot of these conversations, people get mad at me when we talk about MVP or Hall of Fame cases, and people get upset when they're like, "Well, I disagree." I'm usually giving you what I think is going to happen, and I believe Eli will one day get in the Hall of Fame. Yes, Phillip Rivers, I don't think he does. Maybe way down the road in some veteran committee or something like that. Anyway, up next, though, Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, is going to join us. Want to ask him about the Jonathan India move. He hasn't joined us since that trade went down. And what's next? Winter meetings are next week. That's coming up next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Work with a company that both does good in the Kansas City area and does good for you and your roof. That's Century Roofing. 30,000 roofs in the Kansas City area. And right now, if you schedule a roof replacement job or just repair work, through the end of the year, they're going to donate a portion of every single roof they do over to Operation Breakthrough, a great company doing great things in Kansas City. They're a local company. They're locally owned and operated. They've been in Kansas City for 34 years. They're doing work on my roof. You want somebody you know you can trust. There are a lot of people just knock on your door, even this time of year, be like, "Hey, some ice. Let us take care of it for you." You don't know if they're going to stand behind their warranty. Century Roofing has been doing roofs in Kansas City since 1990, 34 years of doing it. That's older than Alex. You give us a chance to a company you know will do quality work. They will right now, free material upgrade promotion on all roof replacement jobs. Get a Class 3 or 4 impact-resistant shingle from Tamco for the price of 30 or 50-year premium shingle. Schedule your estimate today from KC Basin, female-owned Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength. Go to centuryroofingkc.com and tell them that Cody sent you.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
At Jefferson's, our favorite day is game day, especially on Kansas City game day. We know our guys in red like to play down to the wire, and we're here for every second of it. Our ice-cold beers pair perfectly with a blocked field goal. Our double-dip wings taste even crispier when KC makes yet another game-changing play. It just tastes better when you're watching at a bar that's owned and operated locally. Join us on game day and every day at Jefferson's. 87th Street and Lackman in Lenexa and North Kansas City on Armour Road. Jefferson's, wings, burgers, oysters.
At Diamonds Direct, we have the perfect gifts for the season, starting at around $500. Come and let our experts help you pick out that headliner gift. Or for some fabulous ideas, see the online seasonal gift guide now at DiamondsDirect.com. You can even chat now with a virtual assistant. We've got special financing so you can spread out your payments. Get directions, details, special showroom hours, and our holiday gift guide now at DiamondsDirect.com. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
At Main Street Credit Union, your success is our goal. Whether you're a financial rookie or a pro, we're here to help. If you're looking to pay down debt, improve your credit score, or buy a car, we'll be right there with you. We're dedicated to providing guidance, education, and essential resources to empower you on your journey toward financial success. We'll help you understand your financial options so even financial rookies will be on their way to reaching their goals. Go to mainstreetcu.org for more information.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi. Golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN+. It's 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf. Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour split into 6 teams. Learn more at TGLGolf.com. And tune into the inaugural season beginning January 7th. Keep up. It's golf.
Shop Black Friday deals now at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, take an additional 10% off when you buy select major appliances. And get 2 free select tools with purchase of a select combo kit or battery kit from brands like Cobalt, Craftsman, and DeWalt. Hurry and shop these savings only for a limited time because Lowe's knows deals. About 11/28 through 12/4 cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
Thanks to Total Wine, you saved more on all the gifts for the ones you adore. Wine, spirits, beers, all nestled on shelves.
Curbside pickup available and the lowest prices for over 30 years only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Well, I'm Phil Sims. I played pro football for 15 years. Enjoyed all of it. You know, ups and downs, no doubt. Injuries were part of it for sure for me. When I found Balance of Nature, I said, let me try it. Take it every morning and every afternoon, and it makes me feel happy. I can't say enough good things about it.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off with your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code
Phil.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free phone at sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single-line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Visit eatandys.com to find the location nearest you. Top your day with a smile.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a Pick 6, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game. And tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Back here on Cody and Gold, coming up in 25 minutes, we're going to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They'll hold their regular availability. Find out how maybe the first practice or two is going to go for DJ Humphries. If all goes well there, it sure looks like he's going to be starting at left tackle on Sunday night against the Chargers, plus any more news on the injury front. That's coming up in just a bit here on your home for the Chiefs 96.5 The Fan. You guys can continue to interact with us on the text line. We'll get back to that Rivers-Herbert conversation a little bit later on in the show. You can text us in 913-586-7965, some of your thoughts. Someone's flat out just said, I'll just take Dan Fouts and be done with it. Fair enough. That wasn't an option, but fair enough. Go ahead and take that option. All right, let's talk some baseball, though. It's been a bit since we had our guy Josh Vernier on the show, our Royals insider, and I look over, and of course, it's a number from Ann Arbor, Michigan, so I know we're going to talk baseball, but I do have to start with his Wolverines, who are the center of a big upset over the weekend and the center of a lot of flag planting controversy, although I don't know why it was so controversial. What's up, Vern? How you feeling?
I'm feeling very good about those Michigan Wolverines. The only thing that's disappointing is I didn't play them on the money line. I didn't want to bet with my heart. So I just sat back and screamed my face off and was debating if this was the biggest win in the history of the rivalry. It's either this year or 1969 when they said that the number one Ohio State Buckeyes were obviously the best team in the country and the second best team was their second stringers. And a first-year head coach named Bo Schembechler took the game from Woody Hayes and the Buckeyes. No, it's a great time to be a Michigan fan.
No doubt. What about the flag planting thing though? After the game, I mean that there was 4 other games I think in college football where that occurred, and now you've got conversations happening in college athletics. Should they ban it? How it was all handled? Where do you come out on that? Because like you know about the rivalry more than I do. I mean that for them, like that's how much it meant for both sides. I get why Ohio State didn't like the flag being planted, but
right.
They also you lost a football game at home.
I thought the Michigan running back said it perfectly. You had 60 minutes to do all this fighting. Why we fighting after the game and planting the flag, doing symbolic gestures like that? It's really nothing new. Again, we could date back to the 60s when, I don't know if everyone knows, but many people know that when Michigan comes out of the tunnel, they jump and touch that banner, the M Club Supports You banner. Back in the 60s, Ohio State came out before Michigan got on the field and tore it down so that tradition would not continue. I mean, it's a part of the rivalry, and if Ohio State wins next year, I would fully expect them to plant the flag. The issue for them is this was their best chance.
Yeah.
Michigan just brought in a kid quarterback for $10.5 million. They're throwing money around left and right. Michigan's about to dominate the Big Ten once they've now entered the 21st century. It entered NIL.
Josh Vernier, our Royals insider. All right, we haven't had you on since the Jonathan India move, and obviously there's repercussions of that. Other moves maybe could happen because of it. Let me just start with Jonathan India. We knew they needed a leadoff hitter. That was maybe their top priority other than bringing back Michael Walker, which they already did. So they get a leadoff hitter. Do you like that move? I mean, there were some other names like Alec Boehm floated out there. They end up going with Jonathan India, and it cost them Brady Singer.
Yeah, I think India's a better leadoff option than Alec Boehm. When you first hear the rumors, it makes sense for both sides. I would be surprised if anyone is vehemently against this move. Now, personally, I'm always going to prefer 2 years of a league average starting pitcher over 2 years of a league average second baseman. So there's no question about it. It's a gamble, right? Pitching is the currency of this game. But Brady Singer, for as much as I'm a fan, for as much as there are a lot of Brady Singer fans listening, he's your fourth best arm, right? He's your number 4 in the rotation entering 2025, no doubt about it. So to pay your number 4 starter in a market like this, north of $7-8 million, that's pricey for a number 4 starter, especially when you have an offense that is suspect, and it appears you have a bullpen that can be a little bit more reliable. So to spend that portion of your salary, which is going to be somewhat similar to last season, at least that's where it lines up right now, to spend that much on your number 4 starter when you have as many issues or question marks in your lineup, again, it's a gamble. but it's an understandable gamble. It's a maybe even necessary gamble because, listen, losing Brady Singer, of course, if Waka or Lugo or Reagans go down, you're going to be in a world of hurt. But that was the case last year with Singer. I don't think the Royals ever looked worse than that 2.5, 3-week stretch when Michael Waka was out. So the concerns of, what happens when and if an injury pops up because it didn't last year and it's likely to this year, yes, that's a concern with or without Brady Singer. The only thing that I don't want to say found puzzling, but the only thing that left me wanting more is the control being the same, right? Trading away 2 years of a bona fide league average starting pitcher. And I know that doesn't sound like high praise saying that he's league average, but it is. Those are tough to find. Shoot, look at the Royals draft picks for the last 20 years. They have 3, maybe 4 league average starting pitchers. So to part with 2 years of a league average starting pitcher, you would hope to get 3 or 4 years of control of a position player. But listen, Jonathan India is a guy that's not going to need any sort of honeymoon period. This is a guy that's going to jump right to the top of the lineup and should have expectations to deliver. And that's really what these next 2 years are going to be. If you're, into judging trades, it's a mano y mano. Who could perform better over the next 2 years, and that'll determine who won this trade. Now, J.J. Piccolo's been hitting at such a high clip, you tend to lean that he's likely right, and you wonder, is there a next step for Brady Singer, right? This is something that you and I, we've talked about for years, and we've never really seen that next step. Had a nice first half last year, but never showed enough to say he's the number 3. He's the number 2 on this team. So you can understand J.J. Piccolo saying, I think we've got the best out of Brady Singer. So even though we're not getting extra years of control from this position player, it's still someone that makes us better in 2025 than we were in 2024. A gamble nonetheless, but a necessary gamble in a market like this.
We're talking to our Royals insider, Josh Vernier, here on 96.5 The Fan. All right, a lot of people are I'm sure, listening, wondering, okay, well, where's Jonathan India play? Because we heard J.J. Piccolo. It seems like they weren't at least publicly to commit to a specific area. They were more concerned about getting the leadoff hitter. Does this mean there's another move coming? Where do you think Jonathan India ends up playing on opening day?
Yeah, I think he's a second baseman. I think he's your everyday second baseman. Michael Massey can I guess we'll see what the roster looks like come spring training. But Jonathan India is your second baseman. I don't know if, Alec Boehm, you mentioned him a moment ago. That's an option over there at third base. I know you have a Michael Garcia. Massey, I guess, could bump over to third base. I think there are questions about his arm over there at third base. But listen, and we talked about this over the course of last season. Can you really go into a 162 game season where there are legitimate expectations on this team, right? There are expectations for them to compete for a playoff spot. I think that's a fair, not win the division, but compete for a playoff spot. Can you go into a season giving Michael Massey the second base job when he has shown you over the past 2 seasons, yes, he's a quality player, but you cannot bank on that back. So, Jonathan India, I want some stability up the middle, to be quite honest. I want Bobby to play with the same second baseman a majority of the time, and I think that keystone combination now between Bobby and India is pretty well set.
There was some reporting in the last couple of days, I believe from Ken Rosenthal, if not some others as well, that the Royals would maybe prefer to add a middle of the order bat through a trade. Maybe that's not going to come through free agency. And if the Royals were to add another arm, that move would maybe come later in winter. We know winter meetings are coming up next week or whatever, or this week. Yeah, next week, I guess it would be. So do you believe that that's in order? Like, do you believe that they still need to go find another middle of the order bat? And is that where we get back to what we were just discussing with, an Alec Boehm type?
Yeah. Boehm would be the first one because to me, I'm looking at someone that, it's a 1-year deal. It's 1 year and a player option. That's the type of asset I think this organization could responsibly acquire via a trade to bring in a guy that is a true middle of the lineup bat for multiple years. I don't think anybody on the big club is going to warrant that type of return. A Michael Garcia, a Michael Massey, MJ Melendez. I don't think they get it done. I think you need to look to some of your top prospects in the system. And I don't know, man. I just keep coming back to what is the goal right now? Obviously, it's to improve. But are we building a World Series or bust team? Are we building a division title or bust team? Or are they going to continue to do what John Sherman asked them to do 3-4 years ago, and that is build a team that's consistently adequate, a wild card team. And if you're attempting to build a wild card team, yeah, I love the idea of bringing in a pitcher a little bit later in the winter, especially with what this pitching department and this front office have done over the past few seasons with bringing in, a revamped bullpen, finding a Cole Reagans, taking the chance on Seth Lugo, Kyle Wright. I trust this organization as far as finding that number 4, number 5 swingman starter that can hold down the fourth until Kyle Wright's ready, or can spell a Chris Bubich if and when he needs some time off, because he's going to be under an innings limit in 2025. But as far as that middle of the lineup bat, that would be terrific to acquire. Is it, if they don't, does my expectation change? No. With or without a middle of the lineup bat, I'm looking at this team to compete for the American League Central title. I like the organization putting it out there. I would prefer them spend money and just go get a free agent rather than having to part with something that you prize in the organization. Personally, I'm not holding my breath on that big bat being a big splash as far as someone that the average baseball fan knows, because I don't think Alec Boehm, even with his Wichita State ties, I don't think Alec Boehm's a guy that comes, falls out of the mouth of the average baseball fan. So I would love to see them bring in that.
Hey, look, Soto's only up to $600 million now, so they're totally in play there too.
Yeah, that doesn't that just seem like a different sport, right? That the Red Sox, the Mets, and the Yankees are all competing for Burns, Soto, and the rest. It would be great to have Anthony Santander, but I'm not holding my breath.
We're talking to Josh Vernier, our Royals insider. You mentioned Chris Bubich's name. We all saw he was very effective in the bullpen, and so a lot of people are saying, hey, why mess with that? But you alluded to it. It sure seems like they want him in the rotation, and even if that means he's going to only be able to pitch 130, 140 innings next year.
Yeah, and he's another guy like Brady Singer that could be a perfect trade candidate. If he comes out and pitches his tail off in the first half of the season, because like Brady, you have him this year and next year, and then he's a free agent because, like Brady, debuted so quickly in that 2020 season. He hits that Super 2. So Chris Bubich, another guy that, and we talked about this throughout the past year and a half. I know you and Cody had plenty of conversations about it. You watch what Tampa's done over the years. You watch what Cleveland's done over the years. They don't sign starting pitchers to long-term deals. They trade the Savalis, the Klubers, the go on and on and on, the Blake Snells. They let them all go. So Chris Bubich, a guy that's already dealt with Tommy John surgery, even though he's got that bulldog mentality in him, if he can come out and perform at a high level for the first half of the season, that could be your trade deadline target that allows you to bring in something else of note if needed. Now, a lot of this depends on Bubich and Wright and Lynch and Noah Cameron. And, how does that number 4 spot shake out? Now, I say you could trade Bubich, but if Seth Lugo goes down with an injury and Bubich is the guy filling in, things can obviously change. But, yeah, I've been a big Chris Bubich fan since he debuted in 2020 just because of his mentality, his doggedness on the mound, his relentlessness on the bump. I'm all for it. I want him to be a starter. I know he has the goods. The question is can that body hold up?
Right. I'm good with Bubich back in the rotation. I'm good if they have to even do something with Alec Marsh there. The only player that I'm kind of done with in the rotation, and I'm fine with him now just being a bullpen guy, is Daniel Lynch. Do you think the organization is on that same page?
Maybe quietly, but when we get to spring training, I would imagine that you stretch them all out and let the chips fall where they may, even though you and I believe those chips will ultimately fall with Daniel Lynch not being one of your 5 best starters. Now, is Kyle Wright going to be slow played in spring training? Is this someone that we won't see pop up until early May? Possibly. And if Daniel Lynch comes into spring training with the kind of confidence that he left the regular season with, maybe he can give you 5, 7, 9 starts to start 2025, and then he takes that confidence into the bullpen and joins a group with Harvey and Urseg, Sam Long, Angel Zerpa, and you got a pretty formidable pitching staff.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact timeline on when Kyle Wright actually was hurt versus when Bubic was coming back from his injury, because it wasn't until July when Bubic returned in what they called a rehab year. So I wonder, to your point about how they'll handle spring training, could be interesting to watch for Kyle Wright. Last thing before I let you go, Vern, appreciate the time. Yesterday we brought up this MLB golden at-bat rule that's floated out there. I don't think it's ever going to actually happen. Maybe you disagree. This sounds like just a weird video game mode on MLB The Show or something, and absolutely gimmicky. This is way different than adding a pitch clock.
It's maybe I'm just being a little overreaction, just being a little. It's embarrassing. It was embarrassing that it even got floated out there. It to me screams of like a kid's idea. Like, we pulled a bunch of little leaguers and what they want to see, and now we're putting it out there for the masses. Listen, I understand, and I'm not trying to be an old fuddy-duddy that doesn't like change in baseball. No, the NFL changes something basically every offseason. I'm fine with baseball doing that, but it doesn't need to be, in my opinion, it doesn't need to be so drastic. And you guys know where I stand on the things that I would change about this game. They're a lot more macro, but no, this to me is silly and is reflective of an unserious commissioner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to imagine, Bobby Witt Jr. or Shohei Ohtani, and it's like, hey, we struck him out in the bottom of the ninth. Now there's 2 outs. Well, actually, we're going to send him right back up to the plate now. I mean, just be the most ridiculous thing to witness. It's something that I said maybe you do it in an all-star game, but even then it wouldn't work because the managers wouldn't want to, it'd be a shot to the ego for a player if all of a sudden you pulled that guy out for a better player in that exact moment in an all-star game.
Right, because Bobby would then replace, Salvi or Vinny, and, Bobby was just up there battling for 9 pitches against Corbin Burns, and now you're saying, get back up there and do it again. No, the whole thing just, again, seemed very unserious.
Josh Vernier, our Royals insider. Appreciate it, man. I know winter meetings you'll be busy with everything going on coming up next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There you go. Vern, good to hear from him. It's been a little while since we talked to him off season for the Royals, but for those that are waiting for the next move, there hasn't been a ton of moves yet, and the Royals Jonathan India trade is probably still one of the more notable moves that have happened in all of baseball to this point. Things are going to start to heat up, and everybody across the league keep an eye on Juan Soto and what's going to happen there. But as briefly Vern mentioned, it is just a different world that 3 or 4 teams are living in when it comes to going after Juan Soto. I think the latest I saw is that maybe the Blue Jays were out of it, and then maybe they were willing to go up above $600 million, but it's a Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Blue Jays type of conversation for Juan Soto. And it's like we all know it exists, but as I told you yesterday, Drew, like there's part of me that almost just wants the Dodgers to just literally get everybody, even more than they already have, just so it gets so outrageous and ridiculous that even like teams like the Yankees and Red Sox maybe are like, wait a second, this is it. Like that even they're complaining about it. That's the only way anything would ever change to me, is if it got so ludicrous, even more than what we already think is, when it comes to their ability to go sign whoever the heck they want, Ohtani deferring money and Blake Snell, and I don't know if they'll actually sign Juan Soto. It doesn't look like right now.
The deferred money thing would be enough to spark that conversation, honestly.
What? The deferred money?
I would have thought that the Yankees would, because the Yankees aren't deferring money. The Yankees aren't wanting to defer money. No, nobody else. Like the Mets aren't deferring money for guys.
Yeah,
it's only the Dodgers. I feel like that might have been the icing on the cake, but so far, no dice.
Thanks to Vern. All right, coming up next, Chiefs Red Half Hour. We're going to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes right here on your home for the Chiefs.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
I recently had the opportunity to go down to Max Motors and find out firsthand how easy car buying can be. No, it doesn't have to result in a terrible headache and a stressful situation. That's because at Max Motors, they're upfront. They offer competitive pricing that eliminates the need for the haggling and therefore eliminates the stress that's accompanied by that. You think about the total cost of ownership when you're owning a vehicle. They're going to lay it all out there for you, not just focusing on the monthly payment, but truly walk you through what the car insurance could look like, what maintenance might be like on a used vehicle versus a new vehicle. That's exactly what they did for me as well. And they have the best financing options available at Max Motors, plus the Max trade-in in values in the Midwest. And right now, the largest heavy-duty sale of the year is going on. Every new 2024 Ram 2500 in stock is 20% off MSRP. And new 2024 Ram 1500s up to $18,000 off MSRP. Stock number 90052. See dealer for details. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car. MaxMotors.com.
Men, it's the holidays, the season of all kinds of hustle and bustle. But if your energy is down, if you aren't sleeping well, if your sex drive is MIA and you just don't feel like the guy you once were, maybe it's tough to get excited for all the holiday cheer. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if this sounds like you may have low testosterone. And if so, this is the season for you to get treated. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating low T. If you're like most guys, you'll feel the change in just a few weeks. And truly, the results can be life-changing. You'll have improved mental clarity, your energy will kick up, your workouts will be better, your sleep patterns will improve, and your sex drive will likely heat up as well. So call us and don't go through another season with low T. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app, because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all under one roof. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check the latest stats, view play-by-play, and so much more on the page when you want to place a live bet. All you got to do is use my promo code today, KFNZ, to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Remember my promo code, KFNZ. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after free. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Can help us your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Kansas City is Sean Barber. You know there's nothing easier than to enjoy watching the Chiefs with some wings and an ice-cold Bud Light. And Buffalo Wild Wings is serving up both for every game, all season long. Join me at Buffalo Wild Wings, located off Berry Road and Prairie Drive in KC Mo, Friday, December 6th. I'll be there from 6 to 8 p.m. celebrating the back-to-back Super Bowl champs while eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. Nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
For more, go to 965thefan.com. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey investors, this is JD again with Crossroads Investment Lending. Still wanting to get in that fix and flip game? Don't have the money? Maybe you've always wanted to get yourself a rental property. We can help you get in the door. Call the fix and flip guys at Crossroads Investment Lending, 913-766-2900, or go to kclend.com. That's KCLEND.com. Get started in the fix and flip game. What are you waiting for? That's Crossroads Investment Lending, 913-766-2900 or kclend.com.
You hear that? That's the sound of another year counting down. Another year missing your revenue goal. Another year wondering why your marketing isn't more effective. Another year worried about next year. The clock is ticking, but you still have time. Time to contact the experts at Scale Marketing. Scale Marketing is a full-service marketing agency who is expert in lead generation and revenue growth. Our clients see an average of 20% growth in the first year alone, with sustained growth from there. From your traditional marketing to social media to paid search, we'll take a forensic approach, digging deep to find the root problems in your marketing strategy. Then we'll fix them fast. At Scale Marketing, we can't stop the clock, but we can change your company's future. Find out how you can make your marketing budget work harder and drive more revenue. Contact us at scalemarketing.com or call us at 833-SCALE-25. That's 833-SCALE-25.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text FORCE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text FORCE to 42424. That's FORCE to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Jefferson's Wings, Burgers, Oysters, located in Lenexa and North Kansas City, proud lunch partner of Cody and Gold.
You're listening to the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports. KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
We are awaiting Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. When they are ready to roll, we will head out to Arrowhead. You'll hear from both of them right here on your home for the Chiefs, 96.5 The Fan. Not missing anything. We will go there as soon as they are good to go, as they get their prep set for Chargers. Sunday Night Football at Arrowhead. #1 seed implications, not really divisional seed implications, but obviously a bigger matchup than maybe what we thought it would be earlier in the year. Chargers having a very nice season in their first year under Harbaugh. And their defense in particular is what is going to be the tallest task, I think, for Kansas City, obviously, on Sunday Night Football. But we'll hear from Andy continuing where DJ Humphries is, and that's the key, I think, throughout this week is does he progress and pick everything up the way he feels comfortable? And if he does, then he will be playing left tackle, I would expect, on Sunday Night Football. Just a couple other NFL things to pass along. Saw this during the break as well. Has a local tie to it. That's why I'll bring it up. The Giants are planning to start Drew Lock at quarterback on Sunday against the Saints, according to Brian Dable. This out of New York. Tommy DeVito, dealing with a forearm injury, will be limited at practice. So it looks like it'll be 2 straight starts for Drew Lock, the Kansas City kid, Lee Summit High School, former Mizzou quarterback. He had that nice, 40-yard touchdown run, and then that was basically it on Thanksgiving. But that was an impressive first drive from him, and then the Cowboys, of course, really controlled that football game. What's funny about this is, like, I know it's because of an injury with Tommy DeVito, but after the whole Drew Lock mess, they cut him, and he's now a Viking, and then Drew Lock was clearly upset. He was promised to be the #2 quarterback, and so therefore he would have an opportunity to start. It's happening anyway due to injury, but he's getting his opportunity to start a couple games here. And if my guess is if he performs well against the Saints, maybe they would give him another opportunity. But if they lose to the Saints and it's ugly again, they probably will go back to DeVito. Deep down for that franchise, what's better is the Giants just keep losing football games. They want a top 5 pick. They got to go draft a quarterback. What that means for Brian Dable and his future, I don't know. I still think they're going to eventually fire him. I know there's been talk that they're really not going to. I still think when this thing is over, they're going to reset that thing, but we'll see.
I think the bed's made already where, like, if you're Dable, you want to win, obviously, to try to save your job, but I don't know if your job's I don't know if you can save it anymore. Like, even if they won if they won a few more games or whatever, say they go 500 or over 500 the rest of the way, he's still not saving his job.
No, I think the thought was that they're trying to, the patience aspect, like, show they're not the New York Jets franchise and the turnover consistently throughout. But, man, at some point, there's got to be some change, I would imagine, in New York. We shall see. We're going to hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. Also expected to hear from Trent McDuffie and Charles Omenihu all at the podium. And first up, Drew, we got Andy Reid right here on 96.5 The Fan.
We did make the move, Schrader down and right up at the kicking position. Look forward to the challenge of playing the Chargers, a good football team. as we know. Look forward to bringing him here to GH Field at Arrowhead Stadium. It's always a great atmosphere, and with two good football teams playing each other. So with that, time's yours.
Andy, when you say Schrader down and right up,
IR.
Well, IR for Schrader, and right.
Yeah.
With Harrison Butcher, how we usually thought was maybe about 4 weeks. How's his progress, and does it look like on target?
Yeah, he's potentially, yes. I mean, he's doing good. We'll just see how it goes here in the next week or two. So, but he is making good progress. So that's a plus.
No small feat to do what you guys have done there as a GM group and the special teams to get that done with those 3 different guys. It's a lot of credit to go around for that, isn't there?
Yeah, I always start with Brett and his crew of bringing the guys in. One of the guys we knew, so we had confidence there. But you're into your 3rd kicker, so it's a little different. But I think it was good, for Spencer to get in there and do his thing. He was productive before he got hurt. That was great for him and whatever lies in the future for him. So, and then likewise, Wright, he'll go this weekend. So, see, if he just continues doing what he's been doing, he's done a nice job for us.
7 carries for Isaiah Pacheco. Was that a little bit of, not really in football shape yet? So you expect that workload to maybe increase?
Yeah, he ended up with 20 some odd plays. But yes, I would say yes. It was wanted to get him into the mix, get him caught up with the speed of the game. We were thinking right around 20 plays. Didn't necessarily care if the carries or not. I'm glad it worked out that way though. So he came out healthy, feeling good, no setbacks. Yeah.
Why was this year the year that Reid really took a step forward? I mean, he's really increased his production a lot. What seemed to click this year?
There's probably more opportunities. Just we're doing a little bit more double tight stuff, and he's had a good blend in there. When they were doubling Kels, he took full advantage of that, and he's a good player. Listen, he works tremendously hard at his job. He's very smart, and you knew that he would just continue to get better and better. So.
Andy, what's just going to be the process of determining your left tackle for Sunday? What's the process this week?
Yeah, literally seeing what we can do at practice and how he feels and communication there, and I'm playing it day by day. So see how it all ends up. I think it's probably going to go that way throughout the week here. So.
He will get snaps with the ones.
Yeah, he took some snaps last week, but this will be faster for him. Last week was a short week, so this will be a better indicator. See where he's at.
Will Tooney be your guy if
that's one of the options. Yeah, that's one of the options. Wanye, still in there too. So.
In terms of workload for DeAndre since he's gotten here, has that been more reflective of what you have in for him, or is there some kind of management as well going on with wanting him to be fresh for leadership?
Yeah, well, some of it's just making sure he's got everything as we go. I mean, we're way into the offense, and that's a tough position that he's playing, but he's so smart. We probably increased it faster than what we normally would do with him, and he's handled it. And has had quite a few snaps. So it's we've got this rotation kind of going, and it's not one thing over another, but we got some guys that we feel can do a nice job in there, and he's obviously one of them. Quarterback seems to really trust him too.
Coach, on the Humphreys part of the equation, is that something you can, I know you're trying to ramp him up, get him in football shape as well, and he's obviously coming off a knee, but you've had to use multiple guys at left tackle, but is that something ideally you want to put him in and he's there for the whole game, or do you see a scenario where you can just kind of work in part-time?
Yeah, I think eventually you want to get somebody in there that does a good job. I mean, that's and really can stay in there and be that guy. And as we develop the young guys, you're going to have some hiccups, so we know that. We knew that going in, but we'll see. See if DJ can do that, he can do it, and then if he can't, he can't. So, see how it goes.
How challenging is it to do that at this time of year with a guy who hasn't been part of your system, and you're not hitting this hard in practice and all that. It's just not ideal, I guess, but is it harder now?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, 2 of those 3 are veteran guys that we have an option to put in there. So you're kind of banking on that. I mean, Joe hasn't had a bunch of snaps there either. Wanye and Kingsley have taken most of the snaps, so and DJ hasn't played. So other than the X number of years before this, and 9 years or 10 years before this, so we're banking on that part of it with a couple of those guys. That veteran part of it can step in there and take care of it.
We'll go last 3, Matt, Vahe, and then Pete. Go ahead, Matt.
Coach, kind of going into this final stretch, how much do you look at workloads, especially for the guys who maybe had a lot of snaps? I know Chris has played at this point 83%. That's leading the highest rate of his career. Are there guys that you're looking to try and maybe load manage here in the next 5 games?
Possibly, not this week.
Andy, I'm sure you've seen that Mike Holmgren was put forth as the coaching candidate, and it's probably very hard to sum up his influence on your career, but I wonder if you could speak a little bit to the key points of your career that he's enabled.
Yeah, the best I've ever been around. So he, I thought he was great at the college level. I thought in the NFL he was phenomenal. I mean, I've been a head coach now for a couple of years, and I still look back and go, I don't think anybody's done it better than what he's done it. And I've seen it all for 20 some odd years. So it's he just had a great way about him with people. He was tough enough. He was, he's a brilliant guy. So he just had a great handle on things.
And if he didn't make good on his promise to you when you were at Missouri, are you still college coach?
Yeah, I'd probably be coaching the offensive line. Yeah, maybe get out of the box.
You're listening to Andy Reid's press conference here on KFNZ FM AM HD1 HD2 Kansas City. So Andy Reid wrapping up his press conference. We're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes in just a second. We'll go back out there.
So he's got a great feel. He knows it from the player standpoint. He knows it from coaching standpoint. Has a good balance of things that he works with. Good demanding coach on his players, so on. Good teacher.
I'm sorry. As you've reviewed them this week, how do you see the Chargers? How have they evolved since week 4, that first meeting?
Yeah, they're more familiar with their schemes. I mean, that's really the bottom line, so it allows them to play faster.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, so that was Andy Reid. We are going to hear from Patrick Mahomes. Expected to also hear from Trent McDuffie and perhaps Charles Omenihu. The big focus, once again, left tackle. They're going to take it day by day, obviously, see how the week goes. We already kind of knew that was the case. What I thought was interesting out of that was when Andy was asked again about the options. He said, Wanye is kind of still an option there, but it sure seemed like there's 2 options is how I read it, like deep down, which is DJ Humphries is going to be ready or not for Sunday night against the Chargers, or that then Joe Thuney is another option for left tackle. Clearly, long-term, as in the rest of the season, DJ Humphries is going to end up being that guy. Is he that guy on Sunday night against the Chargers? I still think he will be, but it sure sounds like they have not made their decision. But if it's not DJ Humphries, then I think you would expect for one game that they would be willing to have Joe Thuney slide to left tackle and Mike Caliendo play left guard. That's not a season-long change. That would be like, a one-game thing, because if that happens, that means DJ Humphries hasn't picked it up quick enough or isn't feeling right. I mean, the guy hasn't played football in a game in over 11 and a half months. So that is still the one thing that we all have to keep in mind.
When he said Wanye Morris, what went through your head? I know that he
wasn't even confidently saying it. So I don't consider that a real third option. That's what was going through my mind when he said what he said about DJ Humphries, and then he said there was a follow-up question said is Joe Thuney still an option? And he said he's one of the options. And then he's like, and Wanye's still there too. That was basically kind of how it didn't seem as confident. But let's go back out there and hear from Patrick Mahomes.
Changes, and you've been with 3 guys there now this season. How has that affected you, do you think?
I don't know if it's affected me too much. I mean, I've played with all those guys before, and I know those guys are out there battling. They're out there, and they've played winning football before, and so I just go about my business, go about my process, and try to stay within the scheme of the offense. And then when stuff breaks down, I try to go out there and make plays. And so that's what I'm going to continue to do.
After that last sack in the 4th quarter, looked like you were pretty upset about that. Did you talk to Andy about making a change at any point there?
I did not. No, I was more upset just because I felt like there was people open and we hadn't scored in the red zone, and so I knew that was a big drive, and I think I was just more upset about the fact that we didn't execute it at a high enough level in the red zone.
You've had a chance to watch DJ work a little bit here. What are your initial impressions of him?
Yeah, I mean, you see how talented he is. I mean, the physical gifts are there. It's been cool to watch him interact with other guys, too. I mean, you can tell he's smart. I mean, he's willing to teach guys, which is big in that room. We got a lot of young guys there. And so I've been very impressed, and I'm excited for him to get more and more work with more and more practice and hopefully be ready to go as soon as possible.
Patrick, obviously you guys want to play perfect every game and you want like a progression all season, but I wonder in some ways, do you enjoy the sort of problem solving and sort of resetting of everything as you go as part of the whole process?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if enjoy is the word for it, but I think it keeps you motivated, which I think can be a good thing in the end. I think sometimes I look back on the year we lost in the Super Bowl, and we were very dominant throughout the regular season, and it's just kind of like you get in this point where you start coasting because you're winning games, you're just kind of doing the normal thing. Whereas if you look at us last year, even though it didn't go the way we wanted to, it felt like we just continued to work every single week, and we knew we had to get better, and we didn't let the details slip, and we ended up playing our best football at the end of the year. And so that's the hope, is that with all these close finishes, we're getting wins, but it's keeping us hungry so that we can try to continue to get better as the season goes on.
Do you feel like, it's kind of a funny way to put it, I guess, but have you evolved already this season? I mean, do you feel like, okay, I see the progressions, we're forming even though things look a lot the same at the end of games?
Yeah, I think we've done better offensively. I can speak to it, of course. I mean, just we've done better executing the offense, going to the right positions. I've done a better job of giving guys chances to make plays. It's just little plays here and there that have kind of stalled out drives. If that's the deep shots that I've missed to Xavier or other guys, or if that's the red zone and not executing at that time in the red zone. I mean, there's plays in games that if we just make that play, the offense scores 30 points, and we're not even having this discussion.
To kind of follow up on that, I mean, you've had 3 championship seasons, they've all kind of been a little bit different. This year, your record is much better than last year, 11-1 versus 8-4, but some of the peripheral numbers maybe aren't even quite as good, right? Do you feel like this is a championship team? Is there a point before the end of the year that if you don't feel like yet you're there, that you need to get to before you get to the postseason, or can you just flip that switch after?
I mean, every team I've been on, I feel like has been a championship team. It's been plays here or there that have either we've lost in overtime of the AFC Championship game or lost in the Super Bowl. But I feel like we have the talent and we have the coaching staff and we have the work ethic to go out there and win any football game. It's about going out there and doing that on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis. And I feel like we have those guys that are motivated enough to do that. But it's not going to be easy. I mean, it never is. You have to really play your best football at the perfect time in order to win a championship, and that's what I've learned through my time in the NFL.
Does pressure come with? I mean, everyone wants to play on a championship caliber team. You mentioned you feel like you've had that every year, but maybe more than any other team, maybe the Niners, but like your season is going to be about just winning the Super Bowl. Other teams can get to the playoffs or win a couple of playoff games. It's going to be a good year. For you guys, it really is just one thing. Does that weigh on the team? Does that create stress that maybe other teams don't deal with?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, that's the reason you play the sport. I mean, I've never had a team that I didn't believe could win the Super Bowl, and so I don't know what I would be doing and how I would be acting if we weren't going to the playoffs. My goal at the end of the year is to win the Super Bowl, and nothing else matters.
Patrick, I saw an interview, Max Crosby talking the other day about how he makes maybe you take advantage of the quarterback rules over on the sideline, and we saw this Trevor Lawrence hit. I think we've talked about this before on that one play when you didn't go out of bounds. I'm guessing you feel like you're not trying to take advantage of any unwritten rules about hitting quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just playing football at the end of the day, and I don't feel like I've ever put anybody in jeopardy of not wanting to hit me. I mean, I know when you get an open field, guys want to hit you, and I get down when I feel like it is necessary to get down, but there's times and big spots in the games where I know I need to get first downs, and I go for it. And so it's not taking advantage of any rules. I think more than anything, it's me being smart in the moment of knowing when not to and when to go for it. And you've seen that from me in the playoffs, and I feel like you see that from me in big spots in games because I know that sliding at that moment is not going to get us the win, and I'm all about winning.
Patrick, do you feel vulnerable when you do slide? Do you feel like that does protect you when you slide? It just seems like you're kind of a little bit defenseless in that moment.
Yeah, no, I'm big on when I do slide, trying to get the head down because at the end of the day, man, it's a split-second decision, and I know guys playing the sport, I mean, for the most part, 99% of guys are not trying to hurt anybody. They're just trying to make plays, and those guys are flying down trying to stop you from getting first down. So when I do slide, I try to get my head down as quickly as possible and try to avoid those situations. But that stuff happens in football, and luckily Trevor's all right because, I mean, that's the most important thing. But at the end of the day, I think everybody's just going out there playing the sport that they love as hard as they can. And sometimes bad things happen, but hopefully we can move through it and learn from it.
How much respect do you have for Justin Herbert as a counterpart here in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I have a ton of respect. I mean, he's one of those guys that, like, every ball he throws is a perfect spiral. You can tell he can throw the football as good as anybody. He works extremely hard, and I think what gets lost in it sometimes is how tough he is. I mean, he battles through a lot of injuries. He plays the game the right way, and I've played him in a lot of great football games because of the type of talent that he is.
We'll go last three, start with Nate. Go ahead, Nate.
Patrick, obviously you see it in practice a lot, and I just wonder from your perspective if you guys are on the plus side of the field, similar to whether it's against the Saints or obviously the Raiders on Friday, if you can tell maybe beforehand that Travis is going to lateral the ball to Samaje, or if it's maybe something that is more designed than maybe people realize.
Well, it's not designed at all. He's like the only person that would do it. I know it sometimes looks like that, but I think it's more of him just being in this offense for so long that he knows where guys are that are running different routes. And so the play the other day, he was just kind of a check down guy. He was open. I was going to throw it to him, try to get as close as I can to fourth down, and so I can try to convince Coach Reid to go for it. And he laterals it to Samaje, and he makes a play. But he does that in practice, and it started off as kind of a joke. And then now it's kind of become a thing, and as long as he completes it, coach is going to keep letting him do it, but he knows the consequences if he doesn't.
Nick, Patrick, what do you see from this Chargers secondary, especially coming off the 4 interception performance?
Yeah, I mean they're so I think the best way they're so good at their scheme, and they know where the weaknesses are in their scheme and how to cover those up, and then they have the talent to do it. And so I think it all starts with Derwin. I mean he's a great football player. He can play anywhere on the football field. And he's going to make plays happen. But they have a lot of other guys as well that are playing extremely fast. This is a really good defense. It'll be a great challenge for us.
Last one.
Patrick, speaking on that lateral, this Sunday, Josh Allen had a pretty special play with his own. I know the Chiefs didn't invent the lateral, but Travis, this team, do you think they've had an influence on this league as of late with that play?
I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I think it just comes down to guys that know how to play ball and they're confident enough to do it. And if you look at the two guys that did it in that game, it's Amari Cooper, a guy who's had success for a long time in this league, and Josh, and a guy that had obviously had a ton of success. And they're football players more than just positions. And that's what happens when you get a lot of football players out there that know what's going on is they make plays happen.
All right, so that was Patrick Mahomes here on 96.5 The Fan. I absolutely love his answer about the whole sliding thing and like if you're taking advantage of rules or not. So for those that don't know, you guys probably by now have seen the Texans linebacker got suspended for 3 games. Al Shahir for the hit on Trevor Lawrence, which got him ejected from the game. Trevor Lawrence, of course, got carted off, and sounds like Trevor Lawrence is obviously doing all right, but it wouldn't surprise me if he maybe misses the rest of the season for not just because of the injury, but also just where they're at as an organization. But there was some narrative around that hit. One, hey, is it dirty or not? That's the whole conversation that people are having, and I told you I think that one's one where I don't think Trevor Lawrence put the linebacker in a bad spot to where what did you expect him to do? That, to me, was a little bit of a dirty hit. But it also prompted conversation. I saw immediately a lot of people were trying to say, this is Patrick Mahomes' fault. And I was like, what are we doing? There was definitely a group that was saying it was his fault, and him doing what he does at the sideline contributed to that. I want to pick this back up in a second, but let's go back out to Arrowhead, and then I want to talk more about this. But Trent McDuffie is speaking to the media.
These past couple of years, the secondary has been such a strong point, and obviously it's been a rough couple of games. What do you guys point to that maybe has been the issue these past few weeks?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just the little details that are happening within our defense. A lot of times situational, communication on the back end could be better, but I think the big thing for us moving forward is just making plays on the ball. I think a lot of times we see Roy's in the right position.
Trent McDuffie talking. Let's just go ahead and get out of that, Drew. Well, if he says anything notable, let me know. I'd rather talk about this other stuff anyway. But if he says anything notable, we'll go back out there and hear for Trent McDuffie, as the stream there that the Chiefs were providing, unfortunately, occasionally has pop-ups, and that's what you were hearing there. Going back to what I was saying prior to McDuffie's start of his press conference. So there was the controversy, as I mentioned, with the hit, but also people were using the Trevor Lawrence situation with Al-Shahir as like an indictment on Patrick Mahomes is like, caused this to happen in the league, and it's because players just don't know what to do, and he's breaking the rules. It's the most ridiculous thing. Mahomes was asked about that idea that he's, taking advantage of rules. I loved his answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just playing football at the end of the day, and I don't feel like I've ever put anybody in jeopardy of not wanting to hit me. I mean, I know when you get an open field, guys want to hit you, and I get down when I feel like it is necessary to get down, but there's times in big spots in the games where I know I need to get first downs, and I go for it. It's not taking advantage of any rules. I think more than anything, it's me being smart in the moment of knowing when not to and when to go for it. And you've seen that from me in the playoffs, and I feel like you see that from me in big spots in games, because I know that sliding at that moment is not going to get us the win, and I'm all about winning.
I mean, how do you not love that answer, especially the last 15 seconds? I mean, that's as good as it gets right there. Look, that whole narrative though about the sideline stuff it's just clearly the bias, if you will, and folks that just are trying to find any way to kind of hate on number 15, because
they said it was Max Crosby who brought it up.
Yeah, I just don't get, the sideline thing is so not the same thing of what just happened with Trevor Lawrence. Like, is there a discussion that should be had on, if you're a defender, it's very tough in some moments when a quarterback is sliding, if he slides late, for you to stop. Yeah, like you're asking a football player that's going full speed to defy gravity. Like, I get it. There's a conversation to be said there. As I said, don't believe that's what the Trevor Lawrence hit was. But this notion of what Mahomes is doing when he's running down the sideline, he's not out of bounds yet, like Mitch's famous call from the AFC title game against Tennessee, that this fake to not go out of bounds is anything the same at all. It's just not. You know what you can do as a defender? You can still shove his ass out of bounds. You can't hit him out of bounds, Cincinnati, but you can still push him out of bounds. Like, players are acting as if he's right by the sideline, so I just have to completely stop. No, Mahomes is not out of bounds. If you're going to be over leveraged to one side, he's going to take advantage of that. If anybody's watched Mahomes enough as a defender, they should recognize that he likes to cut it up the sideline. You better make sure he's out of bounds. And that is so different. That's not breaking any rules or the spirit of the game. That's ridiculous.
So for people who are comparing it to Al-Shahir's situation, I think you're right. I get where I guess in this situation, if Max Crosby's talking about him on the sideline specifically, I understand why he would have that feeling, but I think it's more of what Patrick said of him being smart, where I'm going to ride the sideline because I know if I take one step out of bounds and I time it right and you shove me still, it's a late hit out of bounds. If you don't time it right, it's a late hit. Yeah. So people are, not that they're to that point, I think people are a little bit.
It's a smart football play.
It's more about him, and it's not necessarily the rules. It's him taking advantage of timing it correctly, where if he doesn't time it right, he's going to get shoved out of bounds. If he times it right, he steps 1 foot out, and then he gets shoved, it's a late hit, and he's a quarterback, and he can take advantage. I get why Max Crosby would say that, but it's more of him being smart in the situation than it is, because other players can do the same thing that Patrick's doing. You don't even have to be a quarterback. You could be running along the sideline, and if you time it right, you see a guy coming for you.
Sure.
You can step out of bounds, and if you time it right and you get hit, it's a late head out of bounds. I think that's where Mahomes is, like when he says thinks he's being smarter than the rest of the room. That's more of what it is.
That's why I love the answer. He's like, I just think I'm being smarter, and also like sometimes I know I have to make the play to win a game, and that's all I care about is winning. I mean, come on now. How do you not love that?
Plus, it is the pump fake thing when he's beyond the line of scrimmage and guys still fall for it. Like, he's being creative in the way that he's trying to throw you off.
I mean, these guys watch film on Mahomes. It's on them to recognize what he usually does in that moment. Like, if you're a defender and he's running near the sideline, you should be prepared that you better make sure he's down or out of bounds. Otherwise, if you're lazy, if you will, and you give him that opportunity, he's going to take advantage of it. He's too damn good otherwise. So, I'm glad somebody asked about it. I love the answer, as I said, from Mahomes, because the suggestion at all that what happened to Trevor Lawrence is a result of Patrick Mahomes is so just one, it's wrong. Two, it's just like it's completely unfair and it's absurd to suggest that that's what it is. But that was definitely a narrative that was out there from some fans. I didn't know about Max Crosby. Crosby wasn't Crosby. I don't know if he was talking about the Trevor Lawrence play. I know there was some national commentators that were discussing the Trevor Lawrence hit that unfortunately knocked him out of the game, and how like that whole sequence they were trying to somehow blame on Mahomes handling the sideline stuff. They're completely unrelated, in my opinion, while also acknowledging that, yes, there are certain circumstances when a quarterback does slide too late and you're asking the impossible out of a linebacker or a corner. But that, to me, is not what we all saw. So, anyway, that was Patrick Mahomes. He prior to that, Andy Reid spoke, and Andy was asked about the running backs. A couple days ago, we discussed, like, hey, they didn't run the ball enough against the Raiders. They threw it 46 times. They only ran 60-something plays. Pacheco got 7 carries. Kareem Hunt got 7 carries. You heard Andy Reid talking about basically, load management, or at least how they were handling Isaiah Pacheco. Listen to this.
Yeah, he ended up with 20-some-odd plays. But yes, I would say yes. It was wanted to get him into the mix, get him caught up with the speed of the game. We were thinking right around 20 plays. Didn't necessarily care the carries or not. I'm glad it worked out that way, though. So he came out healthy, feeling good, no setbacks.
I guess that might make me feel better about how they handle the backs, except they were doing this earlier in the season when Pacheco was hurt as well. I get why I didn't expect Pacheco to go out and get the 25 carries in his first game back. No. Totally get it. Understandable. I think in general they didn't run the ball enough against the Raiders team. Hearing Andy say that about Pacheco, they just want to make sure he felt good and he came out of the game healthy, and he did. That tells I expect on Sunday night then against the Chargers that they are going to run the ball considerably more than they did against the Raiders. I think they have to. It's a very good Chargers defense. Give the Raiders credit for being effective early on in the game and stopping it. But I thought the Chiefs had banded it too early. I actually kind of like hearing that going in. It was 20 plays all Pacheco was getting. That they just wanted to get him some run and go for it. And then Andy later on in the presser was asked, "Hey, are there certain players that you might do a little bit of load management on?"
Possibly, not this week.
I think it is interesting.
It all depends. You're not going to do it in a divisional game, and it all depends how the rest of the number 1 seed conversation is. If the Bills can drop a game against the Rams or Lions, then it sets up where the Week 18 game, you don't have to approach it the same, or even the Steelers game approach it the same. You keep on winning, and the Bills keep on winning. I don't know when you're doing the load management thing. I don't know when you're going to have an opportunity to do that. But not if you're trying to get the number 1 seed. If then you're going into the Week 18 game where you would have to win. Because remember, they can't tie with Buffalo and still get the 1 seed.
Well, I'm saying to your point, if they lose, like if they lose to the Rams or the if they lose to the Rams or the Lions, and you have 2 games up.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. You need the Lions. You need the Lions to beat the Bills
during that 11-day stretch. That like what Nate was talking about. It's 11 days, the 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Take one of those games, whatever one you want, and just split it. I think there's no rules against openly saying you're going to load manage.
No,
correct?
Not in the NFL.
In the NFL?
No, because it's really never an issue.
Correct. I was
it's something that it's something that if they add more games and we get to eventually a 20-week schedule and an 18th game or however you think it's going to set up down the road in the NFL, that's when that becomes, I think, a real thing we see. But yeah, I mean, if they're in, let's say the Bills were to drop 2 in a row. That'd be a dream scenario. Let's say the Bills dropped the Rams and the Lions game. Well, then, yes, suddenly the way they approach the Texans game or the Steelers game may be way different because they would be up by multiple games. But that requires the Bills dropping a game or 2.
I do think it would be hilarious for them on Christmas Day to be like, we're gonna start Carson Wentz today.
Someone says you rest Week 18 no matter what. I think the number 1 seed conversation depends on that. Like if you know that. Hey, if let's say the Chiefs lose to the Chargers on Sunday night and the Bills keep winning, and then you're already tied heading into Week 18, and the Bills have the Patriots and you have the Broncos. If you win and the Bills lose, you get the 1 seed. Or in that scenario, then you may at that point decide to do it. I just think as long as the number 1 seed is truly in play, and it of course is. Right now, I don't believe they would rest in Week 18 unless they knew they couldn't get the 1 seed or that they did have the 1 seed in their back pocket. I just can't imagine Andy going into Week 18 against the Broncos, knowing if they win and it's still a Bills loss, and remember they would all play at the same time on Sunday, that they would get it. I don't know if they would actually do that until they know one way or the other, either because they themselves dropped a couple games and the 1 seed's done. Like if the Chiefs can't get the 1 seed by Week 18, of course, they're going to take that as their bye and get ready for Wild Card Weekend. But And on the opposite side, if the Bills were to drop a game or a couple games, that's the only way. That's also a Broncos team that might be playing for a playoff spot. They may not. They could have it clinched. The Broncos could. That's what we've talked about. How the
way
Chiefs
that it's trending almost is because the Colts play the Colts play the Broncos. Is it this weekend?
The Broncos are on a bye, I believe, aren't they? I believe the Broncos are on a bye and they play the following week.
Okay, so I think theoretically speaking, I don't know who the Colts play this week, but if the Colts lose, it's basically the Colts or the Dolphins at this rate. The Bengals still technically have a shot, but it's not going to happen.
The Dolphins are toast.
I think the Dolphins are toast.
The Colts and Broncos are both on a bye week. They play
next week
on December 15th. If the Colts win, they're a game back of the Broncos, and it'll look more and more like the Broncos.
If they lose, it might be over.
But if they lose, they're 2 back, and the playoff race is over. We'll know the teams, and the Broncos would likely, in their own right, be able to rest in Week 18. That's what's crazy. There's a chance the Chiefs and the Broncos could both be resting in Week 18. That's a real thing that could happen.
Yeah, that would be.
We've talked all about the Chiefs maybe resting, but it requires the Chiefs handling their business.
There might be a lot of teams resting on Week 18. Like, think if the whole thing is locked, like if Denver's playing for the 16 instead of the 7, maybe they play their guys. But if the 6 and 7 are like wrapped up, locked and loaded, it's Chargers and Broncos or whatever.
The only debate right now
is
multiple
teams sitting.
The only debate right now is it the Broncos or the Colts for essentially the final playoff spot, and it requires the Colts winning a head-to-head game against Denver in Denver next weekend, and that still only puts them within a game. But other than that, we basically know the teams. It's the seeding. We don't know who's 1 or 2. It's going to be the Chiefs or Bills. We know who the 4th seed is. It's going to be the Texans. They're basically locked into that as a divisional winner, but they're not going to have enough wins to be on the level of anybody else. And the Steelers look like they're going to be locked into the 3, but that's still a little bit to be determined. And then we know that I think we know the Chargers and the Ravens are in the playoffs. We just don't know for sure the seeding. Is there a chance the Chargers could? If the Chargers beat the Chiefs, then maybe the Chargers end up as a 5 seed, and if the Ravens keep struggling, the Ravens fall back to a 6. But I think the teams, for the most part, we know exactly kind of where they're at. Of course, it is the lunch hour here on Cody and Gold. Jefferson's, the official lunch partner of 96.5 The Fan. You can catch every game at Jefferson's, from the blocked field goals to the incredible catches. Witness every moment at a restaurant that's proudly local. Visit Jefferson's in Lenexa or in North Kansas City. Jefferson's, wings, beer, beers as well. Wings, burgers, and oysters. You can definitely get some beer there, as we did during the watch parties that we had. I was going to say, go to our Instagram page, though, right now, and check out our latest post. There's a chance to win a $250 gift card to Jefferson's as well. It's pretty simple. Instructions are there, but basically like, comment, tag a friend kind of thing. It's up on the 96.5 The Fan Instagram page. Once a month, we give away a $250 gift card to Jefferson's. Coming up in about 10 minutes, I want to get to some comments in Chicago that I actually found really interesting. Greater coaching conversation. Something we've seen in Kansas City happen before, but it's very rare in the NFL. I'll explain what that is. And it was some of the comments from everybody's favorite person here in Kansas City. I'm saying that sarcastically. We'll get to that coming up in 10 minutes or so. Someone that maybe you didn't expect to be aligned with, but maybe we should be right now, is Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady, I think, is out there speaking the truth. Tom Brady's out there calming people down. Maybe you don't want to hear me say, hey, the Chiefs are winning close games. It's okay. It's what a lot of teams are doing. 80% of games are one-score games. Maybe you don't want to hear me say that, hey, let's see what happens in the playoffs. Maybe you think I'm too optimistic. How about Tom Brady, who's got more rings than anybody? Tom Brady, who, of course, was part of many seasons where everybody thought they were done and not good enough to win a championship, and they did. He was on The Herd with Colin Cowherd yesterday.
Kansas City's 11-1, and they're winning by paper-thin margins. So of all your teams, the team that blew people out was the Randy Moss teams. There's no ring. Your 03-04 team, you were winning close games. And so this Chiefs team is the closest to your team. I want you to take me back. People keep saying, well, the Chiefs are lucky, and I'm like, timeout. That block field goal, that was coaching. Third down efficiency, that is coaching. I don't want to hear luck. That's even Rubik's Cubes and roulette, there's some strategy to it, right? Did you feel that 03-04 team, did you feel like, you know what, close game, we're winning it. We're just better than everybody at it.
Definitely. I think that, look, you're going to have close games, you're going to have blowouts. To win the close games is always the mark of a really good team. To win when you're not playing your best football is the mark of a very good team. I just think the Chiefs are so dangerous because if it's a one-score game in the fourth quarter and Patrick has the ball, he's incredible. Not that he comes alive, because he comes alive all day long, but he's so dangerous because then he has 4 downs, late in the game where you got to stop him for 4 downs, not 3.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous aspect for any defense. You have to kind of pull away from, and that they're it's a hard team to pull away from because they do such a good job defensively. So I think when they transition from really this great offensive team, and I would say when Patrick first started, they weren't as good on defense. Now they have a tremendous defense. They got Spags is a phenomenal coach. He's got them playing well defensively. Patrick is going to manage the game so well. He's going to throw to the open guy when it's there. He's got Travis out there that is going to make the right decisions in the big moments like we've seen time and time again. So they have a group of players. That organization does so many things the right way. They're going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. I don't care who they play, where they play. It's a lot like the teams that I played for at the Patriots. If you were going to beat us, man, you had to beat us. We weren't going to beat ourselves.
And that's exactly what happened in the Raiders game, because the Chiefs, who didn't play well, the Raiders beat themselves, the snap and all of that. There's been other close games this year where the Chiefs have been able to go out and win a game. Like I still think, as I said a few days ago, the Broncos game to me was not luck. That was a design field goal block. But the Raiders game, that was, another team beating themselves, not going out and winning the game. And the Chiefs are never going to let you just win it by having them hand it to you. You're going to have to actually go out and win it. That's Tom Brady out there. It's funny. Like now he's actually sticking up for the Chiefs a little bit, because there's a ton of people in the national media that are like, oh, no, they're just not good enough. Rex Ryan audio we played a couple days ago saying, I've seen a ton of teams. Trust me, this looks like a team that's going to be out in the first round. Yeah, I'll trust Tom Brady over Rex Ryan. That Tom Brady's been part of those teams that in the regular season, heck, might have only had 9 wins at this point, and they were barely winning, and they weren't looking good. They were winning close games, but they found a way come playoff time to click. It's the same thing. It's why there's so many correlations between the Chiefs and the Patriots. I know there's some Patriots fans that don't like comparing because they're threatened by the Chiefs having a chance to be at the same level as them when it's all said and done, dynasty-wise, and maybe do something they didn't do, a three-peat. But there are so many similarities, and that's why Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are pretty much the only two people out there nationally that are be like, no, there's nothing. Like, they got some flaws, but they're gonna be all right. They got to fix these things, but great teams find ways to win when they're playing like crap at times, and that's exactly what's happening here. We'll talk more about this in the 1 o'clock hour when Nathan Brennan from Channel 5 is going to join me. He's a morning news anchor, also is a big college football guy. We'll talk some college football rankings. That's coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. But up next, I want to discuss what was a solution that was presented for a team to go get a head coach. It's happened here in Kansas City before. Would it happen again elsewhere? That's coming up next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
When it comes to financial goals, everyone has that one thing you want to accomplish. Raise your credit score, give your kitchen a well-deserved glow-up, or eliminate credit card debt. At Main Street Credit Union, your main thing, well, that's our thing. It's what we're passionate about, helping you achieve your main thing. So bring us your wants, your needs, and your goals. We'll provide you with the tools to achieve them. Go to mainstreetcu.org for more information.
At Jefferson's, our favorite day is game day, especially on Kansas City game day. We know our guys in red like to play down to the wire. And we're here for every second of it. Our ice-cold beers pair perfectly with a blocked field goal. Our double-dip wings taste even crispier when KC makes yet another game-changing play. It just tastes better when you're watching at a bar that's owned and operated locally. Join us on game day and every day at Jefferson's, 87th Street and Lackman in Lenexa and North Kansas City on Armour Road. Jefferson's, wings, burgers, oysters.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi. Golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, layoffs on the line golf. Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour split into 6 teams. Learn more at TGLGolf.com and tune into the inaugural season beginning January 7th. Keep up, it's golf.
Shop Black Friday deals now at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, take an additional 10% off when you buy select major appliances. And get 2 free select tools with purchase of a select combo kit or battery kit from brands like Cobalt, Craftsman, and DeWalt. Hurry and shop these savings only for a limited time because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 11/28 through 12/4. Cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates, all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's up, sandwich heads? Today on Steve-O's Sandwich Reviews, we've got the tips and tricks to the best sandwich order. And it all starts with this little guy right here. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Partial to pastrami, craving a Cubano. Yeah, sounds delicious, but boom! Add the crisp, refreshing taste of Pepsi Zero Sugar and cue the fireworks. Lunch, dinner, or late night, it'll be a sandwich worth celebrating. Trust me, your boy's eaten a lot of sandwiches in his day, and the one thing I can say with absolute fact, every bite is better with Pepsi.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Shop Black Friday deals now at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, take an additional 10% off when you buy select major appliances. And get 2 free select tools with purchase of a select combo kit or battery kit from brands like Cobalt, Craftsman, and DeWalt. Hurry and shop these savings only for a limited time because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 11/28 through 12/4. Cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Chiefs coverage on 96.5 The Fan is brought to you by award-winning Johnny's Barbecue in Olathe.
Football and barbecue fans, score big with Johnny's Barbecue tailgate packages. Whether you're hosting a home gate or a tailgate, Johnny's Barbecue has you covered. Check out our tailgate packages at johnny'sbbqkc.com. Located in Olathe and serving all of KC. Johnny's Barbecue. Taste the smoke.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
A little after 12:30 here in KC. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's Cody and Gold. Alex Gold with you. Drew Nixon producing the show, co-hosting with me today. Cody will be back with us tomorrow. We'll have the full crew ready to rock and roll as we'll get into the Chiefs-Chargers specifically a little bit more. Also today on the 1 o'clock hour, Nathan Brennan from Channel 5, morning news anchor, going to join me in studio. We'll talk a ton of college football in that hour with the controversy around the CFP playoff rankings yesterday. What's going on there? What are the implications for this weekend? We'll also, I'm sure, talk some Chiefs and also get into a little bit on the Royals TV contract. He's a good person to talk TV contracts and stuff with, I would imagine, working in television. So we'll discuss that coming up a little bit later. Also, random question of the day, about 8 minutes away. And you guys can always interact with us. I appreciate the interaction. 913-586-7965. So I got an email. We get these, everybody at the station occasionally, like in the media, you get these emails about offshore betting odds. Thinking of that betting show tonight, by the way. I'll be live from 6 to 7. Then Drew's on after hours a little bit later on tonight with Mac from 7 to 9. But I'll be talking all things betting from 6 to 7. We'll take a look at the Chiefs-Chargers game from a betting angle. We'll look around the NFL. But I got this email offshore about the next NFL coach fired lines. And if you were wondering, like Doug Peterson's the next NFL coach to be fired is the favorite, minus 150. Brian Dable, plus 250. Then Antonio Pierce is 4-1. Gerard Mayo, 5-1. Zach Taylor, 10-1. And Brian Callahan, he's a first-year head coach. I would be stunned if the Titans fired him, but 12-1. So those are some offshore odds. You notice we don't mention Matt Eberflus. He was once at the top of the list. He obviously is no longer a head coach, so he's no longer on the list. And I bring that all up because our sister station in Chicago, 670 The Score, they had everybody's favorite Mike Florio on the show, Pro Football Talk. And they were discussing, admittedly, is a little bit more of a hypothetical before people bury Florio for it. It was a little more of a hypothetical, but he suggested something the Bears should do. I don't think he's wrong. I also think it is like a 0.5% chance that this would happen. Here's the scenario he presented. Remember, there's a coaching vacancy right now in Chicago.
And Shanahan, I said this after they lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs this past year. I feel like he is on the Andy Reid path where he's never going to reach his full potential unless he goes to a new team. And his dad's from Illinois. There's kind of a,
Franklin Park.
There's kind of an appeal to that.
Yes,
but
of course.
The
Chicago area. Yeah. Come home, Kyle.
For conversation purposes, what would you give up to get Kyle Shanahan? And I would at least inquire as to whether or not the 49ers would be interested in, in doing a deal, because there's only one way to find out. You make the phone call.
So yes, that's Florio suggesting the Bears call the 49ers to try to trade for Kyle Shanahan. Again, I think it is
what would you give up?
Extremely unlikely. But with that said, why not? Why not? Like the Niners, let me just say, the Niners would be fools after 1 year where they're not going to make the playoffs, it looks like, after going to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years, running into the Chiefs in both of them, they would be fools to trade him away. Absolute idiots. So I don't think it's going to happen. It's fun to talk about. If I was a Chicago Bears fan, I'd be all about it, except that, like you asked, the compensation. What would you give up? Remember, here in Kansas City, we all know a little thing about trading for a head coach. Chiefs are one of the few teams in NFL history. There's been other examples. One of the few teams that have traded for a head coach. Dick Vermeil was part of a trade. He didn't get fired and just walk across the street from St. Louis. That was part of a trade. Of course, Trent Green came over and all that. But Dick Vermeil was part of a trade. They gave up trade compensation, draft pick compensation. Bill Belichick was once traded. There's other examples in NFL history. So it's not unheard of, but it doesn't happen very often. I'm trying to think, what's the last... Is there the Sean Payne's a little tricky because he took a year off and then he still had his...
Was Herm Edwards?
Yeah, I'm talking most recent, though. Sean Payne was the most recent. He left the Saints, but they still owned his rights.
So
the Broncos, yeah, the Broncos gave up draft pick compensation for Sean Payne. That's the most recent example, even if it's a little bit different. What would the Bears... I mean, if I'm the Niners, I just wouldn't do it. If you're saying I had to make the trade, but I got to decide the compensation, I think it's 2 first-round picks.
The guys on 670 The Score said 2 firsts or a first and a second, whatever. Yeah.
Would you do that if you were the Bears? You have the quarterback, we think. Yeah. You got wide receivers. You're seeing what's happening in your division right now. 2 first-round picks is a lot, but, man, you haven't been able to find the right head coach. You can change everything in that franchise's history. Kyle Shanahan and the Bears would absolutely be a factor in the NFC immediately.
Yes, I agree with that. Now, here's the... So I'm not going to say that the 49ers should do it. However, given the financial situation that they're in, and I know that Ben Johnson, none of us think is Kyle Shanahan. However, if you can get 2 first-round picks, given the financial issues you're going to have, and you could potentially move on from some of those guys, and you could bring in replacement to our first-round talent right away, along with having you have 3 first-round picks, and then you say you get Ben Johnson, because that job would become very, very, very appealing. I think there's a partial inkling of you that actually says maybe the Niners actually would consider, maybe even if it's for a half second. I think John Lynch and company actually wonders, well, let me actually think this through. Like, let me think about this, actually. Like, let's take 5 minutes. Is this a stupid thing, or should we actually, maybe look at this a little bit more, just given some of the potential money issues they're going to have moving forward? That'd be 3 first-round picks that they'd have.
Yeah. No,
and I know it's Kyle Shanahan, but do you think Ben Johnson can potentially reach that level of, he's a really good head football coach in this league? Not elite, but he's really good.
I know here in Kansas City we have a little bit of a skewed view on Kyle Shanahan. There's not everybody. There's a fraction of Chiefs fans, because I see it on the text line occasionally, that don't think Kyle Shanahan's all that good of a coach because the Chiefs have won against him in the playoffs. They've blown leads, and then the overtime, not knowing the rules. I know there's some of you that feel that way. I completely disagree with you. I think Kyle Shanahan is one of the best head coaches in football, and I think, as Florio alluded to, actually, I think he is exactly where Andy Reid was prior to winning rings. Everybody kind of thought Andy was good, but they always used not having the rings against him. The minute he won 1 ring, and that, everybody's, oh, okay, well, magically, it's amazing what 1 ring does for your entire perception. That's where Kyle Shanahan's at. He's run into Patrick Mahomes twice. If he wins one of those Super Bowls, everybody's viewing him differently. I think Kyle Shanahan's an incredible head coach.
Top 5, right? In your mind?
He is in my top 5. Of course, Andy.
I know we did that list.
And yeah, I can't remember what the
Tomlin,
update.
Sean McVay.
Yes, all, and Kevin O'Connell's not top 5 for me. But if we were doing hey, who would you want tomorrow to replace if Andy retired? Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, and Kevin O'Connell will be the first 3 names I'd be interested in. But outside the organization. But going back to the Niners scenario, they would be fools to trade Kyle Shanahan in this hypothetical, because there are so many bad coaches in the league too. Head coaches. Guys that can be coordinators, bad head coaches. Matt Eberflus, that example. Great coordinator. He's going to continue to be a great coordinator. Not a good head coach. Antonio Pierce, going to be a coach for a long time in this league. Not a good head coach. And sometimes, situation's not always the best. But if you're one of the really, really special coaches, and Kyle Shanahan is, Andy Reid obviously is, you make it work no matter the situation. This year is the first time where Kyle Shanahan's run into a situation where the injuries are way too much to overcome. He also, is in a very competitive division as well.
I think, too, I don't know. Maybe this, I guess, is going against the fact that Kyle Shanahan is a top 3 head coach. He's still top 5, I think, but he doesn't have his defensive coordinator, and they're having problems defensively. He doesn't have Salah. Yeah. He doesn't have Wilkes, and even though he had Wilkes and fired him, they were still really good.
Doesn't that say something about him, though, that he was able to have guys like Morris and Salah on his staff? Those were his guys that he hired, right?
Yeah, I think it shows you.
We talk coaching tree stuff all the time.
I know, but I wonder if he doesn't have a good defensive coordinator, are his teams actually good? I mean, that's
I would argue any coach. If I'm the head coach and my defensive coordinator stinks, I'm gonna be in trouble too.
I know. I wonder if, because I think, and I'm not using the Bengals as this example because I want to bring up the Bengals, but I do think that offensively they're a top 3 offense, top 2 offense in the league. Zach Taylor calls plays for them. Everybody wants him out. Are we sure that he just doesn't have a bad defensive coordinator?
Oh, well, hold on. 3 years ago, I was told Anarumo was the most genius defensive coordinator in NFL history, and you guys were worrying that he was going to go leave and get a head coaching job in Cincinnati.
He could have always left, because I think Bengals fans knew that he could only scheme against the Chiefs and everybody else they struggled against. That hasn't been anything new. I just wonder if there's a not to that level, but are we sure Kyle if he goes to Chicago, I don't know who he'd have as his DC. But are we sure, say he goes to Chicago and because if they go, I don't know, 9-8, are we sure? Are we sure
If Kyle Shanahan was the head coach of the Chicago Bears next season, I would guarantee you 10-plus wins. I would lock it in right now.
You would lock it in
I would
right
lock it in. I would lock it in. Way too much talent on the team. Also, it would be just a well-run organization.
That division's too good.
Now,
for them to win 10 games. I don't.
You think, hold on, so you think if the Bears hired Kyle Shanahan next year, they'd be a 9-win team? You realize what's their record now? They're going to win 6 or 7 this year with firing their head coach midseason.
Yeah, but the defense is very good.
Yeah.
Are we sure that it's going to be as good next year?
The offense is going to be way better with Kyle Shanahan, with DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson.
It depends on Caleb Williams.
I mean, I would say the track record.
I know, but it's
true. He took Jimmy Garoppolo to a Super Bowl.
I know, but you are. The defense was like number 2 in the league. That's what I'm saying, is that the defense has to be good in order for them to. The defense had to be good in order for Jimmy G to go on that run. It wasn't Jimmy G.
Yeah.
It was Kyle Shanahan, yes, but it was also the defense being as good as they were. Because if the defense was 10th, they're not going to the Super Bowl.
This applies to like every coach. Like, I mean, pick any offensive-minded head coach. Like Sean McVay is, and when he went to the Super Bowl, it's because he had a great defensive coordinator as well on top of a really good offense. Like Andy Reid, last year they won the Super Bowl because he also had a great defensive coordinator. Like saying, using that Kyle Shanahan, he's got to have a good defense if he wants to win. No kidding, man. Like that goes for every team. Like. You know what I mean? Like that applies to Dan Campbell. You know why the Lions look unstoppable? Because not only is their offense great, their defense is much better than it was a year ago. It is. I mean, of course, you have to have a good defensive unit to go with your offense.
I know, but I'm saying that if they weren't top, they had to be top 3 good in order for them to go. Like if they're a 10th ranked defense, which is a good defense.
Then you can't. This is fine. We disagree, but then you can't tell me you also agree with me that he's a top 5. If you're telling me that you're saying that basically you're very skeptical that Kyle Shanahan can win in Chicago in this hypothetical, or has to do it with a great defensive coordinator, then you can't tell me you think he's a top 5 head coach. Like I think he is. You can't tell me you agree with me anymore on that.
Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin,
what about
Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
You could argue Dan Campbell. You could argue Matt LaFleur, who won multiple games with Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh.
I've no issue with those coaches being the top. My argument's not about those coaches. I'm just saying
that it's not so simple. It's not like I think if you really think about it, I think you actually have to really think about whether or not you put Kyle Shanahan in that top 5. Because I think Mike Tomlin is better. I think Andy Reid is better.
Sure, nobody's arguing that.
I think Sean McVay is better. Then you have 2 spots. There's a lot of really good teams in the NFL. And again, I know there's a lot of teams dealing with injuries as well. Kevin O'Connell's taking Sam Darnold to win 10 games right now. And the defense, again, very good defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Are we sure Kevin O'Connell is not just like Kyle Shanahan in that regard, where if Kevin O'Connell doesn't have that DC...
But what are we doing now, though? So, like,
I think there's more that meets the eye than just like, hey, this
Bill
guy's
Belichick had Tom Brady's as quarterback. Basically, the argument you're making now, though, is that, spoiler, great coaches had great people around them. No kidding. Nobody's disagreeing with that.
I understand, but as soon as he doesn't, the team's 5-7, and they don't look good on offense either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think suddenly Kyle Shanahan's just a bum without a defense.
I didn't say he's a bum. I just don't think. I think to your point, I don't think he's top 5. I think you can make a case that he's not top 5, and it's not a cataclysmic event for him not being a top 5 head coach.
No, I mean it's debate on top 5. I would just say very easy to be critical of Kyle Shanahan the one time where they're having a rough year. Very easy, and I know in Kansas City people have a skewed opinion because here they have made him look bad in the Super Bowl. Let me be clear, he took those teams to the Super Bowl, but we'll see. That was an interesting hypothetical from Mike Florio. I don't think he's getting traded to Chicago Bears for the record, but that would be wild, and it would be an unbelievable get, unbelievable get for the Chicago Bears.
You said you guarantee 10 wins right now.
Right now, if he was the head coach next year of the Chicago Bears. Absolutely. Year 2 of Caleb Williams with that run scheme of Kyle Shanahan's, yes. Yes. All right, let's get to the random question of the day.
Random question.
All right, this one I'll take over today. You've had the last couple days, but I had one.
You have one, okay.
I sent out a tweet because I had some random thought. I don't know why. Random thought about a fast food item. And yes, I told you, random. So the question for you and the text line, 913-586-7965, is which fast food item would you want to be brought back? This all stems from a random thought I had, and I tweeted out a photo of it. You guys remember the chicken selects? Drew, were you too young about the time? Like, do you remember chicken selects at McDonald's? You would have been
yeah.
Okay.
And yes, for Ross's question, or for your, I do know what a Polaroid is. I've used Polaroids before.
Yeah, because Ross Tucker earlier during his broadcast, he's like, people under 25 might not know what a Polaroid is, but you do. The chicken selects, man.
I remember those.
Those went away. Like, those were legit. Those were legit premium chicken selects from McDonald's. So my question again is, what fast food item do you miss? Do you wish they would bring back? Someone immediately responded and said the same time they got rid of the chicken selects, they had the snack wrap. That was a thing at McDonald's. Which I never
my
really.
wife loved the snack wraps.
I never really had the snack wraps.
Loved them
at McDonald's, but I was told those were good. But the chicken selects were legit. You get a little barbecue sauce, maybe honey mustard. I'm not a honey mustard guy, but maybe a little barbecue sauce. There's been fast food items they've brought back, like the McRib is back, which I'm in Kansas City. I'm sorry, I refuse to eat the McRib. I just am. Refuse. I'm not kidding.
I've never had
a fake riblet thing.
Yeah, I've never. There's certain things from certain places that I'm not going to eat. Like, I'm not going to eat chicken wings from Papa John's or from like a pizza place like that. Nah, that's not.
If I didn't live in Kansas City and if I wasn't from Kansas City, maybe I'd be more about the McRib. Like, but not here. Someone, a couple other ones from the text line, 913-586-7610. Someone says they miss McDonald's shaker salad. I remember that. Yeah, that was truly like it was in a tall cup, right?
That doesn't come to.
Remember that was a tall cup and. Because we're on video, I'm not going to act out the act because some of you would have fun with that on video. But, you would shake the salad. That was a shaker salad.
What? Like you're shaking
Someone said it was great to feel like you're being healthy when you're not really being healthy. Someone says easy, they just need to bring back the dollar menu. Someone else says the Culver's turkey BLT. Never had that. I've told you, I've only had Culver's a handful of times, and I've had it now since I went to Wisconsin last year for the Chiefs-Packers game at Lambeau. And I had cheese curds for the first time, and oh my goodness.
Culver's cheese curds, too.
Yeah, I've had them a few times. Since I came back from Wisconsin. Someone said the grilled steak burrito from Taco Bell. That sounds good. Don't they have some some variation of that?
I think Taco Bell actually has done a pretty decent job of bringing things back, even though it's for like a limited amount of time. A lot of the times that they do it, they've done a better job at bringing things back compared to other places.
Someone said shredded chunky chicken burrito at Taco Bell. I mean, that also sounds absolutely
sounds
incredible.
good.
There's a lot of menu items that have gone away. Like, remember for a while when the McFlurry was supposed to go away, limited time only, then it was so popular they kept it forever. But I'm telling you, for whatever reason, I was thinking of the chicken selects yesterday, and I found photos of it. I was like, man, those things were legit.
Looked up a photo?
I did. Those were actually pretty darn good. You got to make sure.
You're missing those bad. You're like, that sounds. Let me just go look at it real quick.
I had plenty of people respond, and they're like, you know what? I think about those every once in a while too. I was like, who knows? Maybe McDonald's needs to bring those back.
Someone said the original chicken nuggets from Burger King.
Yeah, those were chicken tenders, right? They called those chicken tenders.
They had like the crown.
Had the crown shape.
The shapes.
Sometimes they were lightning bolt shapes if they were partnering up with a movie or something.
Those were good.
A little pepper in there, not a spice, but like not I wouldn't say spicy, but a little pepper flavor to it. Those chicken tenders way better than what BK has now. Not even close. Although the chicken fries are close to that. Like it's the same.
Chicken fries are basically a chicken nugget, which I didn't realize it until I had that. I still eat Burger King. I like the nuggets now. I don't mind them, but they're not as good as the other ones. Correct.
913-586-7965. Someone says, let's see, the wedges from KFC. That's a good answer. I couldn't tell you the last time I had KFC, but the one thing I loved there back in the day was the actual potato wedges. Now are they just regular fries? I haven't had KFC in forever. It's regular fries.
They're making fries now, which again is very weird because it's not. They're trying to be like Popeyes. You're not going to be Popeyes, KFC. You're not going to be. You're not going to be Popeyes.
It's just better.
Someone said Hardee's fried chicken in the 80s.
Hardee's had fried chicken back in the day. I didn't know that.
40 years ago.
Well, still, it doesn't matter. I said any item. It doesn't matter.
I know, but that's crazy that you would just. Out of all the things you must really have liked that fried chicken. It must have been really, really good.
The most popular text we've got was the snack wrap from McDonald's.
Yeah.
The chicken select, which was what prompted the whole conversation. And there's been a lot of Taco Bell items because Taco Bell right now doing like the decades thing. I think they have a promo going on where they're bringing back older menu items anyway.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Let's see. This is bad. I have the Taco Bell app on my phone. Yes, I do. Hey man, you get free stuff every once in a while. Almost cursed. Free stuff every once in a while.
Someone said I need to get Taco John's.
Have you not had Taco John's before?
I've never had Taco John's because typically if I get tacos, like I go to Tiki Taco or whatever. I go to a local place.
So Taco John's, you got to get yourself some Taco John's, and you've got to get the potato lays. You got to do that. You got look them up.
How much are we talking for?
What do you mean? It's fast food.
No, I know.
Look up a photo so you know what I'm talking about. The original potato Olays.
I'm saying a tiki taco. I can get I can get a hard shell taco for $2.50.
I mean, like Taco Bell.
They're banging. They're good.
You're gonna make me go to Taco John's and pretend I'm putting in an order to get you the price on this thing?
No, okay. No, I'm not gonna make you do that. I was just asking. I didn't know if you had it.
It's fast food. It can only be so much, right? Like
I don't know. I mean, chicken from McDonald's is $3 right now.
Is that what it's running these days?
A 10-piece McNugget, $6 after
right
taxes.
now, see,
it's nuts.
This is where I know people want to make fun of me for having fast food apps on the phone, but when the time comes when you want it, it's cheaper. For example, if you have the McDonald's app right now, Drew,
yes,
you can get every day for another week. You can get a 10-piece nugget for $1. Okay,
yes.
So you can laugh all you want, but the one time you want to go, the nearest Taco John's to you probably if you want to try it for the first time, you're out in KCK. So the one in Bonner Springs might be the closest one for you.
Oh, definitely.
There's one in Bonner.
Is there really? Okay,
that's probably the closest. So if you get tacos, you get a. I don't know. You get a six pack. You probably don't need 6. That's a bad example. 2 crispy tacos and a small order of the potato Lays and everything with the drink's going to run you $8.19. $8.19, Drew, for 2 tacos, a large drink, and then potato Lays. Those things are clutch.
That actually is not a bad deal.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has Taco John's over whatever I'm talking about. You've never had Tiki Taco, man. Somebody from the text line says they got the best nachos in KC. Dead serious.
Wow.
The nachos
I've never had Tiki Taco.
Hard shell tacos, man. You get chicken in there. Very, very good.
Still
and
had the best, not fast food, but still the best tacos. I had some people I went to lunch with last week. We went down to San Antonio's in KCK. And Drew, you still haven't been, right?
I have not been there.
Just authentic carne asada tacos, absolutely incredible.
Gosh, absolutely, lunchtime
they're
too.
like they're like $2 a piece. Like they make the tortillas right there in front of you. Oh.
Someone brought up a good one. I haven't heard of this in a long time. The Pizzone from Pizza Hut. You remember those?
I do remember the name. I don't know if I ever ate one of those. But
I don't think I did either,
that.
but I remember the commercials for those things. That's a long time ago.
All right, up next, Nathan Brennan, morning news anchor over at KCTV5. Used to do some sports talk radio up in Nebraska. We're going to talk some college football rankings with him. We'll get back into the Chiefs. We'll probably ask him the same question as well. That's coming up next right here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold.
I didn't sleep well. I was drunk.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Midwest winters take a real toll on your garage door if it isn't ready. Let Overhead Door Company of Kansas City come out and perform their 14-point tune-up on the garage door and 12-point tune-up on the opener. One price covers 3 garage doors and openers. The work is guaranteed. Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Trusted here since 1927. Call now to schedule your garage door tune-up, 816-221-0072. Or schedule online at OHDKC.com. OHDKC.com.
Hey, you already know that there's nothing like a custom design and crafted jewelry treasure from House of Diamonds. A one-of-a-kind creation built from scratch for a one-of-a-kind love. But sometimes you have a need for speed. This is Gene at House of Diamonds, and just in case custom jewelry isn't in the cards, we have a case. Actually, we have 19 cases filled with some of the most beautiful handcrafted jewelry you'll ever see. Earrings, rings, bracelets, pearls, pendants, and fine gemstones. A lot of it we created in our shop. All of it carries our name with the quality and craftsmanship you've come to expect from House of Diamonds. And any item can be tweaked and customized just for you. Think of it as Custom Express. Custom Express or custom from scratch. Get it at locally owned, family owned House of Diamonds. House of Diamonds on the southeast corner of College and Quivira.
Kansas City is Sean Barber. You know there's nothing easier than to enjoy watching the Chiefs with some wings and an ice-cold Bud Light. And Buffalo Wild Wings is serving up both for every game, all season long. Join me at Buffalo Wild Wings, located off Berry Road and Prairie Drive in KC Mo, Friday, December 6th. I'll be there from 6 to 8 p.m. celebrating the back-to-back Super Bowl champs while eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. Nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
For more, go to 965thefan.com. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
You might think the cold weather is a bad thing. Means great things for you over at Volkswagen Lee Summit, where they're having their winter clearance sale. They're offering their biggest discounts all year. Look, you can drive the exact same car I drive, 2024 Tiguan. Can't recommend it enough, man. Heated seats, all the panoramic roof. I love it. I really genuinely do. My kids love it. It's been a fantastic family car for us, and you can have the exact same thing because at Volkswagen Lee Summit, winter clearance time means up to $8,000 off certain select 2024 models, including Atlas and Atlas Cross Sports, up to $5,000 off MSRP, 24 Jettas, Taos, or Tiguans. It's hard to decide what kind of car you're going to get next. All I can tell you is I've been driving it since spring, and it has been exactly what I wanted. For somebody who shopped and has a hard time shopping in that way, where I'm like, I don't know, I want to make the right choice. First new car for me ever. Don't want to screw this up. I did this on my own, only to find out that Volkswagen Lee Summit and I were a perfect fit. If you don't want those deals, maybe you want a 0% APR for up to 60 months or sign then drive leases where you can pay 0 down and 0 next month on select VW models. Honestly, do not miss out on this. The discounts have never been bigger, and these are the best prices of the year at the winter clearance event at Volkswagen Lee Summit. See what they got over at VWLeeSummit.com.
Your attention is precious. Pulled in a million directions for a million different reasons. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City works hard to make sure your health insurance isn't one of the many things distracting you from what's important. By making healthcare easier to navigate, we help keep your focus on the moments that matter most. Like dinner with loved ones. Letting you focus on you. That's the benefit of Blue. Learn more at BlueKC.com.
This holiday at T-Mobile, I'm joined by a special co-anchor.
What up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Snoop D-O-double G.
Snoop, let's talk about T-Mobile.
Okay, cool.
This holiday, get 4 lines for $25 a line. Plus, 4 iPhone 16s with Apple Intelligence and the all-new camera control on us.
Let's get cracking, like a breakfast egg.
You can use those eggs to make some eggnog, Snoop.
Respect.
And people do love T-Mobile, where you can save on every plan versus the other big guys when you switch.
You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
Always a great stocking stuffer, Snoop.
We up out of here.
Hold your horses, Snoop D-O-double G. Let's remind people one more time.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get 4 iPhone 16s with Apple Intelligence on us. Plus 4 lines for $25. Now drop that jangle.
With 24 monthly bill credits, 4 eligible trade-ins, and 4 new lines with autopay. Well-qualified customers plus taxes and fees and $35 per line connection charge. Cancel entire account before receiving 24 bill credits and credit stop and balance on required finance agreements due. $829.99 credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save on wireless and streaming versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence requires iOS 18.1 or later.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi. Golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf. Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour split into 6 teams. Learn more at TGLGolf.com and tune into the inaugural season beginning January 7th. Keep up, it's golf.
Shop Black Friday deals now at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, take an additional 10% off when you buy select major appliances. And get 2 free select tools with purchase of a select combo kit or battery kit from brands like Cobalt, Craftsman, and DeWalt. Hurry and shop these savings only for a limited time because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 11/28 through 12/4. Cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Thanks to Total Wine, you saved more on all the gifts for the ones you adore. Wine, spirits, beers, all nestled on shelves.
Curbside pickup available and the lowest prices for over 30 years only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. Discover the benefit of blue.
We got a new function on the Odyssey app.
Did you guys know that this is a thing? I can send you messages from the Odyssey app.
kind of crazy.
KFNZ FM and AM HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
1 o'clock hour. It's Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Drew Nixon producing, co-hosting with me. Cody will be back tomorrow. We'll have our full show. Nathan Brennan from Channel 5 joining me for the 1 o'clock hour. We had you in, I don't know, like a year ago or something
I was
like
just
that,
talking
man?
to Drew about this. I think you start realizing timing-wise how long it's been since you've seen someone or been on the radio or something like that. Last time I saw you guys, I was not engaged, so slight brag.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. So now engaged, so a lot has happened in that time.
Yeah.
But it's great to be here again. Great to see you guys.
Did you guys meet in Kansas City? Or
No, we actually met in Nebraska.
Okay.
Met in Nebraska. So met in Nebraska, originally from Virginia, moved to Nebraska, met in Nebraska. Now we're both here in Kansas City. And she goes to grad school at KU. So rock chalk, baby. How about that? I know that'll excite you a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. A huge game coming up on Sunday, KU and MU in Columbia, college hoops, even though it's in the middle of December. And I know some people aren't into hoops yet until, February or March, whatever. The other thing, too, you were just, quote unquote, a reporter at the time we had you. Now you moved up in the world. Now, are you getting up at like 2 a.m.? Your morning news anchor / reporter, is that right?
Yes. So still reporting Monday through Thursday. Okay. So you still got to deal with me then, but then on Friday, Saturday, and then anchoring Sunday mornings. So slight promotion, get to anchor a little bit more, filling in during the week a little bit as well. But still going great at the station. Everything's good over at Channel 5, and still loving Kansas City, man. It's crazy, too. I've been here almost 2 years now.
Yeah, time. I mean, you and I were
like
talking off air or whatever. It's like Cody and I will be 5 years doing the show together in January. So time.
It's a long time.
Time definitely flies. What's the wake up call though? Now I'm not a huge morning person, so you're telling me you're on.
So you enjoy your time slot. Then.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like at least now we're on. I guess now we have video too. For those that don't know, you can obviously watch us on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook, but. You can roll in early typically in radio, and it doesn't really matter what you look like.
Correct.
TV, you gotta be awake as far as look awake too.
I'm looking good. I gave up the makeup a few years ago though. So when I first started in television, you're trying to impress everybody. 22 years old, hot shot on TV, wearing the makeup. I threw that away a couple years ago. So no longer going.
They don't
the
make you do the makeup.
Don't make us do the. Now when I'm anchoring, I'll do the makeup.
Okay.
But when I'm out in the field reporting, won't do the makeup. Still 2:30 wake up time. 2:30.
So you're going to bed, what, like 7, 6?
7, I'll push it to 8 o'clock. Oh. It depends if there's a good matchup on, though, man. Like, if there's something that's worth watching, it's like, all right, man.
That's
what
I wondered.
Get much sleep here.
That's what I wondered, because my first full-time job in radio was in Wichita, and I was doing mornings there at the time, so I was getting up around 4 a.m., which
is still early.
Which is still early.
That's a grind.
And it was, but then there would be sporting events I would want to watch. And for the first month, I was like, well, I'm going to be good. I'm going to go to bed at 8. Nope. And then I realized, no, I want to enjoy my life
Absolutely,
still. I want to watch these games. And then so I was still going to bed at 10:30, and it was just a brutal show. I was only there for a year.
That's tough for you too, man, because you got to wake up and you got to talk about it.
Yes.
So it's like you want to watch the game because you have to talk about it.
Bob and Dusty deal with it.
Do
You
they
have to
stay
ask
up and
them.
do they watch?
I think sometimes you have to. If it's a Chiefs game, they do. If it's not, I don't know if they do. But you'd have to talk to them more about the morning routine. But yeah, good to have you in studio, man. Good to have you back on. I don't know if you caught the random question before. Then we'll talk some Chiefs. We were asking favorite food item you would want to bring back, because for whatever reason, completely random yesterday, I was thinking of the chicken selects. I don't know why. And we had a ton of people texting in. Did you catch that? What's an item for you? Now, I don't know, Mr. Nebraska might say something from Runza or something. I don't know.
Well, I was only in Nebraska for 2 years, so I would say some type of Runza, but I've only had the original Runza. I think they have like a steak and cheese Runza too. But and this is the beauty of local radio. As someone that worked in local radio before, I was listening to my car. I was like, okay, I'm going to see what these guys are talking about. I know they're talking about some kind of sports. I'm going to kind of refresh my memory, know exactly what we're talking about here. You guys are talking about fast food. That's what makes local radio so great. And then when I was listening, I'm not a huge fast food guy. I try and watch the calories as much as I can.
Smart.
But I did, when I was listening, the first thing that came in mind was Monopoly at McDonald's. I know that's a different spin of not necessarily a food, but that guy was a marketing genius. But then I think someone got sued. There was some
a documentary.
With it.
There was a Netflix doc.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know.
The Monopoly at McDonald's?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably been, maybe out 7 years. I mean, it's been a little bit since it's been out. But the gist was that whoever was the company they were using to print the Monopoly pieces, somehow, someone can Google the exact, basically someone was kind of rigging the system, and they were cheating to make sure they had the pieces. I can't remember but there's a whole documentary about it. But I'm with the Monopoly back in the day.
It was
a big,
awesome.
You get the found drink, you'd be excited to peel back, and
you'd be sweet tea.
You're like, oh, Park Place, great. Everybody has that one. Where's Boardwalk? And then maybe you got a free hash brown. Maybe
that was great. or like a free small fry or something like that. There was nothing like
I had the
Monopoly.
board, man. I had the board.
Well, oh, absolutely. When did they? Was that before COVID that they got rid of that?
Oh,
It
yeah.
might have been during.
Well, they brought it
COVID.
back.
When was
Tim.
that?
They brought back like a digital version. That was the new thing.
See,
But
you gotta do
the
OG
paper
way with
one,
the board. Yeah.
Oh, I'm 100% with you.
The peel-offs, the drinks and everything? Yeah.
There was something about the peel-off thing. It's probably like
It was
leaning into
great.
my
Nostalgic,
gambling
yeah.
tendencies.
And
But
it-
I like to be able to
Like a
peel.
scratcher,
I like
like
to be
a
able to
scratcher.
peel off the drink.
Well, it was
100%.
great too because then you would spend $2 on a sweet tea and then you'd get like $1.50 free like small fries. So it actually didn't make any sense, but it was a great marketing pitch. So not necessarily a fast food item, but Monopoly at McDonald's was awesome.
It really
Oh,
was.
it was awesome.
You're rocking the Royals postseason
Absolutely.
2024 hoodie.
Absolutely, got it on sale too.
We were there. You go. Did you? Oh, postseason. You literally you got it postseason.
Oh yeah, I
see.
got it postseason of the postseason.
Smart.
Yeah.
They get me every time because I want the hoodie when it's
Right,
going on. Cody would agree with you. He waits till like a year later and gets the hoodie I spent $80 on. He gets it for 20. You know,
Absolutely.
So smart move for both of you. Real quick before we get into some college football because there's a lot of controversy. I know Drew's a big college football guy. He's got his podcast. I know you covered a lot of college football up in Nebraska and everything. So we'll get to that in a second. But while we're on the Royals, the TV stuff, and you're probably a good person to talk to. You're in TV. Yep. Everybody's been talking about that. Yesterday, they signed a new TV deal for 1 year with FanDuel Sports Network. And, for me, the biggest part that I like is that it's going to have the ability to get the add-on through Amazon because the issue was the app last year for a lot of people.
Correct.
We all kind of have the Amazon app for Thursday Night Football, for everything else. It'll still be an additional cost. We don't know what the cost is. The one downside is that I still can't watch it through YouTube TV or something like that. Did you, for Royals games last year, were you an app guy or you just listen to the radio on the station instead, or were you watching
I listened on the radio a few times, but interestingly enough, Bally had a deal at the beginning of the season. I don't know what it was. I think it was like 2 months for $10 or something like that. I got that 2 months and then forgot to cancel the subscription. Of course, how these things go. So I got stuck with it for an extra 2 months. But here's my frustration with that. And I don't know if this is a Major League Baseball problem. I don't think it's necessarily a Royals problem because this is an issue that they have across Major League Baseball. Is that I buy the MLB TV package every single year. And then normally in the past, as someone who grew up as a Cubs fan and now has been adopted into a Royals fan, if that was the case, you can still watch the game. If you go to Nebraska, if you live in Kansas City, if you go down the road, I believe Columbia stretches that far, Manhattan, the majority of people that are rooting for the Royals, if you have MLB TV, you're blacked out.
Yes.
I don't understand how that possibly happens. I understand that there's things that are going on behind the scenes. Of course, FanDuel wants their money. Bally's wanted their money at the time. But it is ridiculous to me that Major League Baseball somehow can't figure out some type of package or plan that means locally you can watch the team, because the Chiefs are a perfect example. If you live in Kansas City outside of that preseason game, which I don't know what the hell that was about. That was ridiculous.
Olympics screwed that one up.
I don't know
Olympics
what
screwed that
was
up.
going on with that in Kansas City you couldn't watch. But normally you can watch on a local station. Somehow, some way, Major League Baseball just hasn't figured that out.
So we'll play you audio of in a second. Brooke Sherman, Royals Vice President of Baseball Ops, or President of Baseball Ops, I think it is actually, was on with Carrington yesterday, our afternoon host here, of course, on the station. And I think the teams are on board with what you said in terms of I think they do want to get rid of the blackouts. The issue is they got to wait till all these TV contracts are done in 2028 and get it all under one umbrella and convince the big boys, the Yankees, the Dodgers, who have these
Which is going to be tough.
Yeah, good luck. I'm with you. Good luck. But no, the blackout stuff is insane. The only thing I'll push back on with the NFL, because you brought up something that a lot of people bring up on the text line too, and I get it. They're like, well, the NFL I can just watch basically with my rabbit ears, my bunny ears, and what the difference is. The NFL's inventory is, not even it's 10 times less. There's 2,800 baseball games a year or something, whatever the math is.
Right.
Very good point. Versus football is a much smaller inventory. And even in the NFL, we're starting to see more and more games go streaming. The Chiefs Christmas Day game's on Netflix. The Chiefs Texans game is going to be on Peacock. The
Which is
game
an
on
absolute
Peacock.
mess for Netflix. I don't know if you tried to watch the Jake Paul fight at all, which I was foolish enough to watch.
Buffering all over.
We should have known from the beginning that was going to be a joke. I don't even want to get into that because I was frustrated enough about that. But I think if you keep going to these streaming services, you're going to have more and more issues that they're not capable of having this type of product, because Netflix is a great company by all means. I mean, for the most part, when you're watching, you're streaming, it always works. they haven't really dealt with live before, and they're only the beginning, man. I mean, like we talk about cord cutting and how great that was at the time. This is just as bad, if not worse. And there are going to be more and more people trying to get a slice of the pie that aren't necessarily capable of doing that. I'm worried about that too, because you're right. The NFL is going down that slippery slope, and when does it end?
Yeah, at least if you're in market, typically you should be able to watch. Like even on Netflix for the Christmas Day games, if you're in market, you'll be able to watch on a local affiliate.
I think it might be KCTV5. How about that?
Is it?
It might be.
Mm-hmm.
It might be. I'm not sure. Maybe a little plug right there.
Okay,
we have
maybe.
12 games this season, though, so how about that?
Okay, there you go.
That'll be my plug.
There you go. This is what I want to play the comments from Brooke Sherman, because someone on the text line was also mentioning the blackout stuff. This is his answer to, hey, is there a plan to fix the blackout issues? Because this applies to even those of you that randomly want to watch the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
If you're on the same app for the Royals, you can't watch them if they're on like an NBA TV or a ESPN game that night.
That's what we're all trying to do. That is what MLB and all 30 clubs want to do, individually and together. And I think, we were one of the first teams, Carrington, to have direct consumer product on a local level. We started that back in 2022, and it's even better now. Will be even better now at the FanDuel Sports Network. And so we want that to be the case, and we're working hard to make it the case. We jumped in, our own team here, we jumped in to help promote that direct-to-consumer because of that. We don't want fans to feel like they can't get us. We're trying to give them more and better ways to see our games. One thing that we have available to us this year is to simulcast up to 10 of those games, and we hope to get an agreement in place to do just that on an over-the-air basis, simulcast those games over the air, at least 10 of them. And we're trying to reach as many as we can and keep fans engaged. And if they're not able to come to the K, they can find an easy way to watch it that's consistent for them. If they want to come to the K, we've got well-priced tickets out here. We've got our fountain pass that's available at a very good price. And so we're just wanting the greatest reach possible, and we're working hard every day to do that.
Yeah, I think that's Brooke Sherman. And then I remember at one point, John Sherman was on with Vern in the middle of the season talking about everybody, I think, in baseball recognized the blackout thing is so outdated, and it's just it's something that has to get fixed. I just don't think, given current contracts, they can just overnight, snap their fingers and do it. It's something that might still be a couple years away, but that's a huge deterrent for a lot of fans.
Yeah,
it is
college
crazy.
Football has the same issue too, and I mean that might be like a kind of segue into the college football. But college football has that same issue too, because you talk about all those ACC schools that are trying to get out of the ACC, but they have those TV contracts specifically when it comes to ESPN, ACC network. I don't know if maybe that's a situation that Major League Baseball is dealing with as well, especially when it comes to locally, because again, I don't know the intricacies and the details behind that, but I do appreciate what he's saying, that he's trying to get it on a local level. But I also do like that he plugged just going to Royals games. Always a salesman. Always a salesman.
Got to. So that's just a little bit latest on this. Someone says you got it all wrong. The NFL doesn't have the games on local because of a court decision back in the 70s. Home game is sold out. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The blackout stuff is still an antiquated model. It was all set up because back when that was a problem. The NFL games, though, if you're asking like why are they available in local markets versus MLB, yes, there was a court decision many years ago, but the inventory is the problem, because I'll use the station you work at, Nathan, and Channel 5. Channel 5 is not going to air 162 baseball games. They can't. Same applies to any of the other local affiliates. You can't. You just cannot do that. It's not. Sunday from noon to 6, absolutely.
And that's the 10 simulcast games that he's talking about is doable.
Potentially, yeah. They could come to a deal with one of the local affiliates for 10 baseball games or something. But the NFL can do it. Thursday Night Football is on Prime. That's streaming, by the way, but that's still on Prime. And then on Sunday Night Football, of course, that's NBC. NBC only broadcasts like 18 or 20 NFL games all year.
Right.
NFL maybe is a bad example they don't want it because everybody wants the NFL, but
everyone does.
If there were 100 NFL games, NBC wouldn't carry 100 NFL games. Right. They inventory you cannot carry. In the NBA, it applies. There's 80.
ABC gets however many games a year, the NBA primetime or whatever it is.
Right. Like, I mean, the NFL. So yes, you're correct that the initial blackout rules and TV all goes back to a court decision. My thing is, if you're saying why can the NFL still do it? Why is baseball can't put every game on at bunny ears? It's an inventory thing. Like you can think I'm wrong. I'll disagree with you. Like it is because Fox 4, Channel 5, Channel 9 in town, they cannot have 162 baseball games. Like could you imagine like every weeknight at 6:00? It sounds great to me.
You're just wiping out the local news to play.
Can't do it.
Kansas City Royals baseball. You can't do it.
You just cannot do it. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't care. You just can't do it. Anyway, let's talk a little college football though, because last night the college football playoff rankings came out. It's the final one before the one that really matters. Although it sure seems like, guys, that this thing is almost set in stone anyway. We have some conference title games coming up this weekend, but here's where things currently sit. The 4 highest-ranked conference champions get the bye. So right now that would be Oregon. That's not going to change, it doesn't look like, unless you believe they're getting upset, but looks like Oregon.
Boo.
Texas 2. SMU is the one that could move 3, and then Boise State 4. Now, Boise State's got a conference title game against UNLV. If they lose, they're out of the playoff altogether. UNLV's in, and then there's some debate whether or not UNLV would stick with the bye or would a Big 12 champion leapfrog them. That's a whole other conversation. But these matchups, Penn State hosting Arizona State in a 5-12, Alabama going to Notre Dame in an 11-6 matchup, Georgia hosting a 10-seed Indiana, Ohio State hosting a 9-seed Tennessee. These are all made-for-TV matchups. That's the one thing that we can get into the criticism of why Alabama's in or not in. Deep down, we always have to remember the committee is going to put together the matchups they believe their television partners and the money wants. And that's what we always have to remember. I'm not even disagreeing that, hey, Alabama has less of a case than Ole Miss or a South Carolina to get in. I probably agree with you on that, actually. They're finding a way to get Alabama in this thing, man.
I'd probably agree with you, and this is where I'm going to stick up for the ACC because as someone that went to Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech was terrible this year. I'm not going to talk about that, but the ACC, I feel like in all of this, is kind of the conference that's cast to the side, and I think that's a little bit unfair because I know this is SEC country and everyone's going to stand up for Mizzou and blah, blah. The SEC isn't what it's been in years past. And I think even if you ask a Mizzou fan, a diehard SEC fan, they'd probably agree with you. And I saw this the other day on Twitter or X or whatever you guys want to call it. Someone was saying, and I don't know how much credibility he has. I don't know if he's part of the playoff committee, the part of the rankings, whatever it may be. He was saying, depending on how the game goes with SMU and Clemson, if SMU loses, Alabama would take that place in the playoff. And this was my counter argument. If you're SMU, why would you not just opt out of the ACC Conference Championship if that's the case? You would obviously lose a bye. You wouldn't be one of those top 4 teams. But right now, SMU, it would be guaranteed to get a spot. If it just ended today,
correct,
this was the final, Clemson would probably be out. SMU would be in. SMU now runs the risk that this guy is saying on Twitter, you win 11 football games, you go 11-2, and a 3-loss Alabama who doesn't play in their conference championship game gets in over SMU. It's garbage. I think that's where someone needs to stand up for the ACC because if Clemson were to beat SMU, they should absolutely get 2 teams in.
I did see the commissioner of the ACC last night, and of course some of the other.
There was an AD war going on.
And the ACC is so poorly managed.
Well,
too.
it is.
That was a lot of fun to watch.
You had Jamie Pollard, the AD at Iowa State, arguing about strength of schedule with the SMU, or was it the SMU athletic director. So look, by the way, this is also why they do the ranking show, because here we are talking about it and everybody's talking about it, and it's great. It's great conversation and debate, and college football debates are a lot of fun to begin with. Unfortunately, none of the local schools are involved in this. We thought one of the locals this year were going to actually make it in. But yeah, I mean, the Alabama scenario you brought up, I think that's exactly what would happen, Drew, is if you have SMU lose and it's down to SMU and Alabama for essentially the last spot, they're going to pick Alabama, man.
They're
going to pick it because the selection committee chair, he came out last night and was pretty blunt and basically said, hey, if you're done playing, you basically can't leapfrog anybody. And, truly, so Ole Miss, Miami, any of the Big 12 schools, if you're out of it and you're not also winning your conference title game, if you have no more games left, you're not leapfrogging anybody. So that's why Miami already knows they're done. That's the whole issue. Miami is toast. It doesn't matter.
It's over.
Yeah. Well, and the debate, it's weird because the debate is who should be ahead of each other, Alabama or Miami. Miami's not even in the conversation, in my opinion, because they don't have enough good. Their best win is not better than anybody else's best win that is around them in the conversation. And I know that they only have 2 losses compared to The other team's 3, but I think that's where the eye test comes in. If you watch them play, like, forget how good they are,
Their
how good they
defense
can
is
be.
horrendous.
The defense is awful. So, in the ACC is, I mean, to be honest, it's the weakest of the 4. It's not necessarily, that doesn't mean that 2 teams shouldn't get in, because I think if Clemson beats SMU, SMU should still be in. But like you said, Gold, it's not going to happen because it's Alabama. And I think you have to look at, to me, the committee is not, I guess they're picking favorites in a way, but they're judging teams differently.
Of course.
Like, their criteria is not the same. If they came out and said, hey, this is how we're judging the criteria based on how this year has gone, to Nathan's point, the SEC is a lot like the Big 12, actually. They're very similar in the fact that they've just beaten each other up this entire season. They're very, very similar. Of course, some teams are ranked higher than others. That's why the ACC gets more regard, I guess, than the Big 12 does. But they're very similar. When we don't know who the best team actually is in the SEC, because Texas hasn't played anybody. The one game that they did play against a good team, they lost to, and that was Georgia by 15 points. If Georgia beats them again, Texas's best win is Vanderbilt. Are we sure that
correct.
Are we sure that, like, where does Texas get seeded? Because right now Texas has been the 2 this whole time because they've been the top of the SEC. If they lose, where does Texas fall in this? Because I think Ohio State is better. I think Tennessee is better.
South Carolina.
Where
in the mix?
Where do they go? I mean, I think the answer to, like, where does Texas go is whatever matchup they can make that's the best for the opening round. I mean, honestly, that's where we're at. So you're right. Like, if Texas loses, we know they're in the playoffs still. If they lose, whatever the matchup that they find the most intriguing, and their TV partner is basically going to find the most intriguing. That's the answer if we're being honest with ourselves. So you're right that the criteria is not uniform. The criteria they're using today to convince us that Alabama should be in over a Miami or Ole Miss or whatever.
It doesn't make sense.
They lost to Oklahoma.
Oh, they got destroyed.
It doesn't make sense.
It's not the same criteria next year they're going to use. That's the issue, too, is next year, fast forward to next December, we're doing this whole thing again, and whether it's Alabama or another school, they'll have their reason, and it'll contradict the reason they gave this year. This is what they do all the time.
This is my only counter argument, and I wouldn't necessarily say that I would put Miami in because I think a lot of it is the eye test, and Miami's defense is just horrendous. So take the over if Miami did somehow make the playoff. I'll tell you that. But why are we just saying that just because Miami's in the ACC is a 2-loss team, they're out? Because the SEC, everyone's saying the best team in the SEC is probably Texas or Georgia, the 2 teams in the SEC championship game. You could maybe throw another team in there, but those are probably the 2 best teams. It's a guess. If the ACC is so much inferior to the SEC, how come Georgia Tech sent it to 7 overtimes on the road against Georgia, and Georgia Tech is a middle-tier team in the ACC? You cannot tell me that if Georgia Tech is competing against Georgia, you can't just throw Miami to the side, you can't throw Clemson to the side, and you certainly can't throw SMU out of the equation because they're playing against these same teams, and the inferior ACC went toe-to-toe with Georgia on the road. You can't tell me the ACC is that much inferior to the SEC this year. I'm not buying it at all.
We've got Nathan Brennan from Channel 5 hanging out with us here on Cody and Gold. I want to talk more about this, including some other scenarios. Plus, we'll get to what's trending, and we'll talk a little Chiefs football coming up next year on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com. Hey, it's Gold, and recently I was at Max Motors and found out firsthand just how easy the car buying process can be. They walked me through exactly what the total cost of ownership can be for a brand new vehicle, weighing what the cost of repairs would be compared to lower interest rates that, of course, newer cars offer. That's because Max Motors has the best financing options available, plus the Max trade-in values in the Midwest, and right now the largest heavy-duty sale of the year. Every new 2024 Ram 2500 in stock is 20% off MSRP. Must finance with dealer lender. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car. MaxMotors.com.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
We've had more than our fair share of hail and wind this year. Are you playing roofer roulette? That's when you bet your roof and your home on the first random roofer to ring your doorbell. Why do that when JR and Company offers a free hail and wind report online at jrstormcheck.com? Just plug in your address and we'll pull a multi-year storm report. You'll know exactly what your roof has been put through and if you even need an inspection. If you do, no one is more thorough and works better with your insurance than locally owned, veteran-owned JR and Company. And if you need a new roof, remember, a roof from JR comes with a lifetime warranty on workmanship. Don't play roofer roulette with your home. Visit jrstormcheck.com and remember,
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Visit jrstormcheck.com.
The holidays make me nostalgic. I think about all the family recipes my mom would make, and now I pass those recipes down to my kids. I know I can get all the quality ingredients at Hy-Vee. My store has everything to make the holidays perfect, including heat and serve complete holiday meals for any size group. And don't forget the amazing wine and spirits department. Hy-Vee's Taste of the Holidays event is this Saturday, December 7th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., where you can sample amazing menu options or get a little holiday inspiration. This holiday season, let Hy-Vee do the cooking while you take the credit.
Score big savings with Hy-Vee and the Kansas City Chiefs. Big points mean even bigger savings. Just shop Hy-Vee the day after a game and earn a fuel saver discount equal to the Chiefs score and based on the amount you spend. If the Chiefs score 42 points, you save 42 cents a gallon with any $42 purchase. The more we score, the more you save. Win or lose, everyone scores the day after a Chiefs game only at Hy-Vee. Offer good in-store and online. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide cleans better than the leading competitive free detergent, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues.
Plus, Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Guys, it's finally here. Wendy's new salted caramel frosty. It's cold, salted, yet perfectly sweet, delicious, and it's at the top of Santa's Christmas list. What? Santa has a list too, you know. And he's a huge salted caramel frosty fan. Probably why he's so jolly all the time. The iconic frosty with a salted caramel twist? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Salted caramel frosty flavored with other natural flavors.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
It takes a lot to prepare for game day as a dedicated fan, and preparing the perfect tailgate meal might be most important of all. That's why Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise is the MVP. Hellmann's Mayonnaise is the secret to bring out the rich and creamy taste to all your game day dishes, from buffalo chicken dip to your favorite sub sandwich and everything in between. So give it a try, and mayo game day be delicious with Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise. Shop at your local Walmart, Kroger, or grocery store, and add some extra deliciousness to your game day dishes this football season.
Oh no, my phone.
Hear that? It's the sound of a skater dropping her phone and smashing it on the ice. Yep, it's definitely broken. But at Verizon, we got you. For a limited time, trade in any phone, any condition from one of our top brands and get a new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus on Unlimited Ultimate and Watch 7 and Tab S9 FE 5G. That's up to $1,900 in value. So you'll save big on 3 great gifts. Only at Verizon. Service plan required for watch and tablet. Up to $1,900 value based on phone, watch, and tablet. Trade in and additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Hey, it's Cody and Gold, and for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know all about our friends over at Centric and how you can find a brand new career in as little as 4 months. But did you also know that you can work with your current schedule with some of their flex options for learning online or in person?
Maybe you're just getting out of high school and want to start that career now and that career path now, or you're looking for that change with better advancement, better pay. Centric can do those things for you.
They have plenty of funding options like the GI Bill. You just got to go talk to our friend Russ at Centric.com. That's CENTRIQ.com.
Arvest Bank, believing in the power of serving others.
Arvest Bank believes in the power of serving others. That's why we're committed to supporting those who serve our communities. We believe that all communities deserve a financial partner who cares. Arvest. We believe.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's trending? Presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Applied today at bakeru.edu. We heard from Andy Reid a little bit earlier on today. The only injury news was in relation to the kicking situation. We all know they're down to their third kicker. That's because Matthew Wright had to be called up after Spencer Schrader was dealing with a hamstring injury. We now know the Chiefs have actually placed kicker Spencer Schrader on IR, so his season is over. Matthew Wright officially added to the 53. This is all still just temporary until eventually Harrison Butker is back in the mix. And while Harrison Butker's been on IR himself, he's become the most accurate kicker in the NFL. That's because Justin Tucker keeps missing kicks, and then Eddie Pinheiro down in Carolina is also missed. So, yeah, Butker actually is the most accurate kicker in the NFL because of just sitting and healing, hopefully getting that knee right for the stretch run of the season. Next up on What's Trending today is early signing day in college football. The big one that everybody was keeping an eye on was Kansas State and a tight end there, Lincoln Cure. They did hold off Oregon. There was a lot of noise that maybe Oregon was going to swoop in with that Phil Knight money. Basically, Phil Knight said, whatever you need, however much money you need, win me a title before I pass away, essentially. Oregon not able to get them. So K-State, props to them, they hold off. They get Lincoln Cure to sign. 5-star tight end on a couple spots. I think he's a 4-star in some others, but as high as a 5-star, they get him. Chris Kleiman, a big get early signing day. The only other one of note, just from a name, Matt Nagy's son officially signed with KU today. So congratulations to the Nagy family on that. Elsewhere on What's Trending, mentioned this earlier, our local connection, Drew Lock will start for the Giants on Sunday against the Saints. Brian Daboll mentioning that. That's because old Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito, still dealing with a forearm issue. So Drew Lock will get another opportunity. Of course, he played Thanksgiving, had the nice 40-yard touchdown run, and then they just really didn't do anything. They're a mess, but Drew Lock will get another opportunity to show something. Last one for you, some reports in college football on the coaching front. UCF checking in on Lincoln Riley. Yeah, that's right. UCF, who lost Gus Malzahn. Yeah, Gus Malzahn is leaving to go be an assistant.
The OC at Florida State.
That's right. And Lincoln Riley's reported target for UCF. As some people are thinking that maybe Riley wants to leave USC, one of the avoid being fired. I kind of left. You didn't fire me kind of thing, and everybody can be happy. But the problem is USC's Lincoln Riley has a massive contract. So he finished 6-6, but how do you make that contract go away? But according to CBS Sports, UCF could afford him. There's another question whether UCF could afford him. Riley made $10 million during this past season, the fourth highest coach in football. So I don't know how on earth UCF would pull that one off. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold with you, Drew Nixon producing the show. Nathan Brennan hanging out here in the 1 o'clock hour. Anchor reporter from Channel 5. We're talking some college football. We'll sneak in some Chiefs here as well. I want to continue our college football conversation we were having just about the CFP and where things are at. So there's basically, I think, two things to really watch this weekend. One, we mentioned it, which is a SMU-Clemson ACC title game. If SMU loses, let the controversy begin even more, where I think the committee ultimately will choose Alabama over SMU. Maybe they'll surprise us all. I don't think they will. And then the other one is the Mountain West Conference title game, which is Friday night. Boise State, UNLV. Boise State wins. It's simple. They're in. If UNLV wins, I believe they're in. It sounds like you maybe disagree with me on that. I think this is a de facto playoff game in its own right. Like, if Boise State wins, they're in. If UNLV wins, they're in. The scenario that's more interesting to me is if UNLV wins and Boise State loses. So Boise's done, but does a Big 12 team who right now the champion is not in line to get the final bye spot, the 4th seed, does a Big 12 champion, let's say Arizona State, do they leapfrog UNLV in the rankings to where UNLV would get in, but they're going on the road somewhere, most likely, as a 12 seed suddenly? Or does the Big 12 champion all of a sudden become the 4 seed and get a bye?
I think what's interesting with this, and I know Drew is a college football guy, so I want to get his thoughts on it too, that I think that, the Big 12 would definitely leapfrog UNLV, and I think probably rightfully so. I would say that the Big 12 champion would be more stellar competition than Boise State, maybe. But then at the same time, you got to look at holistically, maybe over the course of the season, I'd probably give Big 12 the leg over Mountain West. I mean, obviously you have UNLV and Boise State, but outside of that, I mean, you got a Meatloaf University. So I don't know about all that. But my argument was this, and I want to know what Drew thinks about this too, because the X factor in this, and I know that everyone has kind of written them off, and I don't really understand how this narrative started, because the whole argument was that if Army beat Notre Dame, they would be a surefire. They would probably get the Group of 5 nod. And I don't know why we've just kind of cast them aside, because one, Tulane is a good football team, and if you beat Tulane, you're now the conference champion, which reaches the qualifications for the Group of 5 school. They have to win the conference championship. And the other thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, which I think is a little bit unfair to Army and is a disadvantage for them, is they still have that game against Navy. And Navy would be another quality win. You would go in with 1 loss to UNLV's 2 losses on the season. So you have 1 less loss. You win your conference championship. I would throw Army in there personally. I know the committee wouldn't do it, but I don't know why we've just cast Army off to the side and said, okay, there's no way that you could possibly get in, when you would have 2 more quality wins on your resume, and your only loss would be against possibly the 5th-ranked team in the college football playoff.
It's a fair point. I think the issue, one, where they're ranked right now to begin with, how the committee's already viewing them, but then in this circumstance, UNLV, if they win, they'd pick up another, in fact, a top 10 win maybe, or top 12 win in the country,
it would be Boise State,
over Boise State. And so that's a huge thing to get on your resume. And then strength of schedule stuff. I mean, who knows? The committee can do whatever the hell they want, right? We've learned that. But the strength of schedule, I believe Army's 90-something. Boise State and UNLV are both 70, 71.
So not that much of a discrepancy.
But still 20 spots.
How much would that go up if they beat Navy, though?
I don't know, but the same thing, if UNLV beats Boise State, how much does that go up? I don't have the answer, but I would argue what UNLV win over Boise State, a top 12 team, will, in the committee's eyes, weigh more heavily than Army beating 2 average teams, we'll call them.
I probably agree with that, but I think also, too, what's kind of crazy in all of this, and I think it's funny that the committee never thought that this would be a possibility. I'm pretty sure the final rankings and playoff is announced before the Army-Navy game.
Yeah, it's the Sunday.
So it wouldn't even matter if Army just beats the hell out of Navy.
Yes,
and
correct.
I would say that's still a quality win, because Navy has, 8, 9 wins this season? I mean, they're a quality football team.
Navy's 8
they're a quality football team.
Navy's 8-3. If we're just doing the win-loss stuff, too, I mean, the other thing is if UNLV wins, they'd be 11-2. So the Army team is sitting at 10-1. I just think the committee has already told us how they're weighing the strength of schedule stuff by because where's Army ranked right now?
24.
I mean, are they going from 20? UNLV's 21? 20? So they're already putting
Tulane's not ranked because they lost to Memphis last week.
So it's the committee's already telling us how they view UNLV versus Army. Like they're already telling us.
There was a case, I think, that for Tulane, if they would have beat Memphis last week, because they were 17 last week, that if they would have won, and if UNLV would have beat Boise State and Tulane would have won, Tulane could have been the higher ranked team, and that would have been a legitimate case. Now, I don't know because Army plays Tulane in the AAC title game. Memphis is technically ranked, but they don't play. So I think it hurts Army's chances of. I agree that it's a really good quality win and all that stuff, but I don't see how they can jump either of them, even if they beat Tulane. I mean, I guess the only conceivable way is if UNLV wins in a tight one and Army beats Tulane 50-0. But I don't. Obviously, you're getting too down in the weeds.
The counter argument, if we're just crowning UNLV going to the playoff, why would we not put Miami in? Because that's a quality loss of UNLV losing to Syracuse. Yeah. Miami also lost to Syracuse.
No, I hear you. That goes back to the
So why would Miami not be in?
Well, because UNLV, conference champion.
Yeah, because UNLV and Boise State gets automatic. Whoever the highest ranked Group of 5 team is, I think if we're talking just resumes, if we're talking SMU or Miami, or if they weren't a Group of 5 team, if UNLV was an ACC team, I think there's an argument to that. But
that's why the winner of the
de
group
facto
of
play-in, like a
it has to be
game.
the conference champion then.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why Boise State's ranked, not ranked fourth, but seated fourth, and that's the discrepancy. Like again, Boise State's not ranked fourth; they're seeded fourth. This is where I think it gets a little confusing with how they're going about doing it. So we'll see. This weekend's huge for college football. By the time we get to Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, we'll know exactly how this is all going to shape out. For the path to a national championship. Let's talk a little Chiefs football, though. I haven't talked to you in a while about the Chiefs, just to kind of gauge where you're at. My whole thing has been, hey, man, we've seen this thing before with this football team. We played some audio from Tom Brady earlier where he talked about, hey, the Patriots are plenty of seasons where they didn't look right in the regular season, but they found out the issues and they corrected them by the time the playoffs. We saw last year the Chiefs did the same thing. Where are you at with this football team? Because nobody's denying they had flaws, they had issues. Right. Secondary, left tackle, all of that is true. But man, they're still winning games. And do you believe they've got enough reinforcement help with DJ Humphrey and some other guys to get them over the hump? And by the time the playoffs come, they flip a switch again like they did last year.
I don't know, and I think it's just such a loaded question because when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, the strength has always been, at least in my opinion, is, yes, you have the offense, but last year was down year for the offense. Your real strength when you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, and I heard you guys talking about this before, is that Andy Reid has always been fortunate enough to have Spags on the defensive side of the football. The strength of the Chiefs has always been the defense. Defense has not looked great the past few weeks. Now, of course, in playoff football, cold weather, you're at home, your defense is always going to play better. But I think that's probably my biggest concern because last year, while there were concerns, especially with the receivers, there were some concerns on the offensive side of football. I mean, the defense was arguably the best defense in the NFL, and I don't even think many people would argue that.
Yeah.
Then you play in some cold weather games, defenses show up in the playoffs, defense wins you playoff games. That would be my biggest concern. And again, I'm not saying that they can't turn it around, but it doesn't look the same. As Drew was saying earlier, the eye test. And I think a big thing with the Chiefs is the eye test, because even last year you saw flashes of this doesn't look like the same football team. Defense is still good. It's still Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. It's still Andy Reid in the playoffs. But I think this year looks a little bit different. But I'm going to pause and like not get too much into that because it's still Andy Reid. It's still Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. It's still playing in cold weather. This time possibly the 1 seed. It's all going through Arrowhead. So I'm going to pause when I say that, but I will say that I think it feels and looks a little bit different.
I hear you. Look, the defense is definitely not anywhere near where it was last year. The thing for me is, all right, let's say the defense – with Charles Menahue coming back for one game, they already had a better pass rush. Let's say the defense improves a little bit, so they get back not top 5 like they were last year or anything like that, but they just improve a little bit and get back to where they were. I'll take where they were in week 4. Week 3,
absolutely.
They're playing
100%.
much better defensively.
100%.
If they get it back to that, but the area where they can still improve the most is offense, in my opinion, from where they're at, and that in large part is going to depend on the left tackle,
offensive line,
DJ Humphries, and is he going to be the guy that everybody's hoping? And I've said all week, I'm like, we are putting a ton of stock in I won't even say this kid, he's a 10-year pro. Right. We're putting a ton of stock that he can just jump right in. Maybe it's Sunday night against the Chargers. If he is better, and that's all you're asking for, can he be an improvement? And I don't see how he wouldn't, based off of what they're getting out of Wanye, who's banged up, but still, it's not been good, obviously.
It's got to be better.
And then Hollywood Brown is coming back around Christmas. Pacheco, this will only be a second game. To me, they have reinforcements that might allow them to improve.
Right.
And if Mahomes gets a little bit more time, I would love to see, do they finally connect on a Xavier-worthy deep pattern? That's something that immediately changes this entire offense. Whereas on defense, other than Menahue, who looked really good in his first game back, the secondary is kind of the secondary.
There's not much help coming, and that's why I'm not as worried about the offense. All to your points is because you talk about a Hollywood Brown, Pacheco, which Kareem Hunt has stepped in and been a fantasy football all-star. I don't know if anyone else picked him up on waivers when he went down or when Pacheco went down earlier this season. He's been fantastic. But I think that's why I'm not as worried about the offense is because it's still Patrick Mahomes. You're going to get some of those weapons. Pacheco's going to come back, who's a bully in the playoffs, which is huge for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in those cold weather games. The concern for me is the defense because I don't really see any help coming. I don't know if you do, but
that's what I'm saying. I'm with you.
It is what it is, and I think that's the problem, is that it is what it is.
Charles Menahue was the only help they were getting, and I think he is going to be a big help. We saw Chris Jones. It's not a coincidence. Got 2 sacks. First time he had a sack since week 4. It's when Menahue's with him. Karlaftis looked his best. So that is the improvement. But in the secondary, I would personally just play Joshua Williams instead of Najee Johnson. But that's a very slight difference in performance going forward. Now, the rest of the AFC, the one thing I still think that is good Buffalo, we all know, is their biggest challenge. If they play them, they're probably not playing them until the AFC title game. That's why the number 1 seed is so crucial for the Chiefs to get that. Yeah, absolutely massive. And the next 5 games for Kansas City, brutal. Chargers, Sunday Night Football. At Cleveland, who's just, a pesky team. We all see Jameis.
Jameis 30-30, baby.
Jameis
30-30.
Full Jameis
My
experience.
Goodness gracious, what was that?
And then you get Houston, and you get Pittsburgh, and Denver. I mean, it's a brutal final
that
5.
Was off the dome, by the way. I'm impressed that you know.
We've talked about it enough, man. We've
off the dome.
We have talked about it enough. We talk about this enough, man.
That's awesome.
But my point is just that the way the AFC looks, other than Buffalo, like Pittsburgh is better than I thought they were, admittedly. I still don't think they can win multiple games in the playoffs because I don't trust Russ, if I were a Steeler fan, to play at this level for consecutive
games.
Games.
A home game, though, man. Heinz Field or whatever
I wouldn't want to play there for the one game,
rough.
right? Like,
correct.
If I'm let's say they're the 3 seed and they're hosting 6 seed Chargers or something. Chargers are a tough team, but I would not be feeling great going into Heinz Field or Acrisure Field
whatever
or whatever.
They call it now, I don't even know.
To win that. But can Pittsburgh win wild card weekend and then go to Buffalo or go to Kansas City the next week? I'm skeptical they can string wins together. And then Baltimore, my goodness. The team that, Mike Greenberg was out there a month ago saying they're unstoppable.
Everyone was.
They're 8-5 now. Derrick Henry's still great. Lamar ultimately is still great, but in the playoffs, he's not the same quarterback.
No.
Their kicker's a mess right now. They're
going to one of the top storylines in the NFL right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
he's bad.
If
you're a Ravens fan,
thing.
if you're a Ravens fan, do you think about not having him play in the playoffs? There's no way you can possibly tell me that you go into a playoff game, you have a 45-yard kick to win the game and go to the next round of the playoffs. I don't trust him.
I mean, Harbaugh said...
How possibly could you?
Harbaugh said they won't bring someone in, but I think it's a mistake. I think they need to bring in a kicker. I know it's a delicate situation because this guy has meant so much for their franchise, and it's really delicate, but... It's obviously going to go one way or the other. To me, they're either going to lose on a kick of his, or all this is going to be funny for Ravens fans because he'll make a 57-yarder to send them to the Super Bowl. It's one of two things. It's one of those that is going to ultimately happen. But they don't look nearly as daunting of an opponent. And then
their defense
go further
looks a
down.
Iffy too.
It does.
Defense,
they can stop the run. They can't guard it. They can't cover anybody.
Defense in the playoffs, man. Defense in the playoffs.
Huge. And then the Texans. Everybody, including myself, I thought they were going to take a huge step. They haven't. Their O-line's not any good. They're going to end up being the 4 seed. So there's a chance, actually, the Chiefs, if the Chiefs are the 1 seed, there's a decent chance they're playing the Texans in divisional round weekend, depending on how the wild card stuff works out. They don't look like C.J. Stroud has taken a step back. I think a lot of it's because of the O-line, but they do not have the same feeling about them as what I would have thought we would have at this time of the year.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you, but I think that's, to your point, what you were saying is that 1 seed is just so huge because I know that the Chiefs have done it. I mean, they proved last year that they can go on the road and beat teams. But again, defenses in the playoffs don't travel great. I keep bringing up the defense because when you look at these Kansas City Chiefs teams, everyone wants to talk about the flashy offenses. And I'm just saying, from purely someone that doesn't talk about this every day, from a fan perspective, you can look and see that the defense does not look the same. And I think that that's a concern going into the playoffs. But if you have the Kansas City Chiefs at home in a cold weather game, I think that's huge. If you told me that the Chiefs had to go to Baltimore and go to Buffalo again this time around,
they did it a year ago.
They did it a year ago, but you can't tell me that you would be as confident as you were last year because I won a lot of money on the Kansas City Chiefs on the road last year.
Yeah, as things stand right this second, not as confident, but I'll remind everybody, how confident were you on Christmas Day last year when they had just lost to the Raiders? You weren't confident then, and they still did it. So I hear you. They got to fix some things, but I definitely
I'm not counting them out. I'm not counting them out.
Definitely not. Hey, don't forget to scan the QR code now through December 15th at any Johnny's Tavern to enter for a chance to win a tailgate prize pack and the grand prize, all thanks to Yingling. When a hosted party at Johnny's Tavern of your choice, each location will have a winner, so don't miss out. Grab your friends, grab a Yingling, and get in on the action. Only at Johnny's Tavern in partnership with 96.5 The Fan. You're home for football, fun, and Yingling must be 21 or older to enter. Good stuff, man. Good to have you in studio. Nathan Brennan, Channel 5.
You guys, man. This is always a blast.
Tomorrow morning, where are you going to? I guess you won't know your assignment.
I don't know
where
I'm going to be, but I'll be out somewhere in the cold.
Maybe winter weather coverage.
Braving the elements. That certainly
have you had to? Have you had a ride along on a snowplow yet?
I've not done the ride along on the snowplow. It's coming though.
I figured January. You'll be with KDOT and MoDOT.
The weather, the cold hits different that early in the morning. People don't realize it because people aren't awake that early. It's cold.
I believe it, man. All right. Thanks again to Ross Tucker as well. well, for joining us earlier. Don't forget tonight, That Betting Show back live. I'll be back here 6 o'clock this evening talking all things betting, how to bet Chiefs, Chargers. PJ Glasser from BetQL will join me to talk about the rest of the NFL slate. Until then, I'm going to hand it off to C-Dot and Rob right here on 96.5 The Fan.